She hasn't texted back yet.
Okay.
There she is.
Okay.
Okay, great. Perfect. Hi, Lori.
I don't know what's wrong with my video, but just pretend I'm in a ski lodge.
Okay. All righty. I think we're all here. Matthew's still here, right?
Yep.
I don't see his picture, but that's, I just saw him a minute ago. Okay. So it is, it's time to start at 6:01. I would like to call the regular board meeting of the Morongo Valley CSD, May 20th, 2020 meeting to order. I have a few little things I'm going to read before we have the roll call. In an effort to keep all public input questions organized and to ensure that each person's input question is heard, please use this Google form to ask a question or provide input. And it's all on the website. And we will be reading your questions or your input at different times in the meeting. The other thing I would like to start with is, in the event that any meeting is willfully interrupted by a group or groups of persons, so as to render the orderly conduct of such meeting unfeasible, and order cannot be restored by the removal of individuals who are willingly interrupting the meeting, the members of the legislative body conducting the meeting may order the meeting room cleared and continue the session. And that's California Government Code 54957.9. Okay, can we have the roll call, please? Mr. Yearsley, are you
He's
on?
muted.
Okay, I just had to wait to be unmuted.
Okay,
Gail Swart,
here.
Christina Brook,
Here.
Matthew Campos,
You're muted.
Yeah, once you mute yourself, I have to unmute you.
Okay.
Go ahead with the roll call.
All right, I'm here.
Matthew Campos,
Yes.
Lori Klimowitz,
Here.
Johnny Tolbert.
Here.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
The
flag
flag
Of
of the United States
of the States of America
And
and to the republic
for which
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. The next thing is the approval of the agenda. And there are a couple things we have to move around. Do you know, is Kendra Dockham here from Smith, Marion?
Did Kendra make
Jim?
it yet?
Let me check. We got quite a few.
She's showing on my screen.
Oh, Kendra is?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're gonna put Kendra first. And she's she's our auditor, and she's gonna give the auditor's report. And then that's E2, we're gonna move to the beginning. And then after that, we're gonna do G1, conflict of interest. That was G1. And then on G4, wait a minute, let's see. On the closed session, we're gonna scratch report on anticipated litigation per what our attorney has told us to do on that. So we will be discussing that, the agreement on, let's see, on G4, I believe. Yeah, G4. That's going to be moved to G4.
Gail,
Yeah.
I was hoping to just go ahead and strike G1. We've already discussed it. As far as I know, the matter has been settled. I don't know of any reason why we need to discuss it once again.
We had a motion on the table that was never acted on. We had a motion at our March meeting.
What-
What motion is that?
Trust me, we had a motion on the meeting, and I don't think we should talk about these agenda items out of order, but we had a motion on the table as of the
If
March
somebody-
meeting.
If somebody's asking to strike the motion, having to strike the issue, then we have to discuss that. What motion are you talking about?
The motion was that on the table at that time at the March meeting was we were talking about whether I had made a motion for conflict of interest for us to vote on that, whether the board members felt that there was a conflict of interest or not. And during the discussion, because the motion got out on the table, and then other suggestions were made, such as Matthew himself made a suggestion that he might just resign. And I also added, well, he might want to recuse himself. And the meeting then got so out of hand with different community members chiming in that we had to close the meeting. So the motion was on the table. The discussion had happened, but we had never taken a vote.
And we can discuss it again if you like.
I'll just make a point of reference to the fact that it is not documented in the minutes that there was a motion made. So
Well, then we'll have to correct the minutes.
it's not documented. It's not in there. So
Okay, well, then we'll have to correct the minutes as I just explained.
It's a moot point.
Well, it's on the agenda that we're going to it's on the agenda that we are going to discuss the conflict of interest. So we're just moving that from where it was to after Smith Marion's what they're going to tell us. So is there any other discussion on that?
well, like I said, I'd like to move that we remove that from the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
I have to wait for Christina to
We
come
can
back.
take a vote on that, whether we're
Okay.
gonna remove it or not.
Right. So we have a motion. We have a motion to remove that from the agenda from Johnny, from Matthew or Johnny? Who made the motion?
I did.
Matthew.
Okay, Matthew, and then Johnny seconded it. And could we have a roll call vote, please? Chief?
Yes, Gail Swart,
No.
Christina Brook,
No,
Matthew Campos,
Yes.
Lori Klimowitz,
No.
Johnny Tolbert.
Yes.
Okay, now, so that has been defeated. So now we have on the table moving Kendra Dockham to number 1 and the conflict of interest to number 2, and the litigation that was going to be discussed is going to be moved to G4 per our attorney's recommendation. So do I have a motion to do that?
so moved.
Christina, is there a second?
I
I'll
second.
it. Oh, okay. All those in favor? Let's do
Aye.
a roll call again.
Gail Swart,
Aye.
Christina Brook,
Aye.
Matthew Campos,
Aye.
Lori Klimowitz,
Aye.
Johnny Tolbert.
Aye.
Okay. So now I would like to We did get some comments. Let me just mention this before we go any further. We did get some comments on the webpage, and we will be reading those at appropriate times during the discussion of different issues. So I'd like to ask Kendra if she would like to give her report.
Oh, good. I'm unmuted. Would you like me to share my screen with the financial statements, the audit report?
Sure,
If you could, yes.
if you can.
All right. There we go. So. Okay. So are you able to see the financial statements?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm with Smith Marion and Company. We've been doing the audit for the district now for some time. Just a heads up, excuse the eye patch. It's to help me see at the moment, but it will be fixed. So this is the financial statements and independent audit report for the year ended June 30, 2019. And we are fast approaching 2020 year end. So this is the table of contents, and as you can see, the actual financial statements for the district, there's quite a few elements to it. Because the special district reports on the government-wide basis, it basically has two sets of financial statements. We're going to cover the statement of net position and statement of activities. In my opinion, they're the most helpful for the district. But your financial statements also include supplementary information about revenues, expenditures, budget to actual, and a combining statement of revenue and expenditures that breaks out all of the different funds and functions of the district. Now, the first part of the report is the auditor's opinion. We have an unmodified opinion, which is a good opinion. We didn't have any reason to disclaim opinion on any parts of the financial statements, and we were able to state that they were fairly stated in all material respects at year end. The first few pages of this document is what's called the MD&A for the district. It's basically a summary of the activities. If you're a non-financial person and you like to look at things comparatively, the MD&A is a good way for any district to kind of highlight what's been going on during the year. And it will show comparative numbers so that somebody can look at both 2018 and 2019. It shows the condensed statement of financial position so that you can see in 2018, total assets for the district were $1,388,312. And in 2019, it was a total of $1,640,000. Of that, of course, a major portion of it is in the district's capital assets. The district has relatively few liabilities. And we can see in 2019, current liabilities were only $52,740. Did I say that right? $52,700.
Yeah.
All right. And then the remaining net assets are broken out. You can see that there's net assets restricted by the capital assets of $724,076, and that the district has available $614,481 in net assets to use for operations. The restricted net assets generally reflect those funds that are reserved for, I believe, the park and the lights. So I'm going to skim through this, and we're going to just get to the statement of net position, which is the balance sheet. Again, it presents the total capital or total assets broken out by their categories. Cash at year end was $398,259, with some restricted cash for the park district. Again, we can see what the actual current liabilities are, which is accounts payable, $43,397, and some deferred revenue of $9,343. The statement of activities breaks out for the district what are its expenses and revenues by the types. So what we see is that for the services that the district provides, it receives payment of $210,592 for 2019. The total expenses were $975,764. Below that, after we look at service revenue, we have what comes in from property taxes and assessments. And that is the majority of the revenue for the district. They had a total of $447,918 in property taxes, $333,094 in assessments. We had some grants and contributions. The net result for the year, change in net assets, was positive $25,781. Any questions?
No.
Nope. It's exciting stuff. People really enjoy financial statements. The remaining financial statements are presented on the fund basis. And so what you'll notice here is that we no longer see the fixed asset. We are reporting our assets and our liabilities based on what's due and payable and in the present future. And it doesn't recognize the assets. However, if you go down towards the bottom, it has a reconciliation that will reconcile it to the statement of net position. There's rumors that they're going to change this format for governmental financial statements. We'll see. The present form that you're looking at was to help simplify it for everybody. I don't trust them to make it any more simpler if they do change it. So
you're happy with that as far as it goes, with what the form is now?
You are, or I am?
No, are you? Yes.
Oh, I think the addition of the first two financial statements, that's why I don't spend a lot of time on the fund ones. These first two financial statements are presented more in the form of what you would see in a business entity, and the balance sheet reflects more of what you would see in a business entity. So the first two sets, the first set of financial statements really makes more sense to those of us who are used to looking at business entities than the remaining parts, because it doesn't reflect those capital assets, any of those long-term liabilities that I think are probably more important, especially for the district, to be kind of see where they're at.
Right, yes.
The addition of these first two financial statements, and I think they made that change about 15 years ago, definitely are the financial statements I steer more people towards than the governmental ones.
Got it.
Following the government-wide financial statements is the note disclosures. It explains the major accounting policies for the district. And so that hopefully somebody knows how we're accounting for things in the financial statements when they look at them. And farther down, what we have is basically a breakout of anything you're looking at in the financial statement in greater detail. So the note disclosures just give more detail to the line items in the financial statements. So one of the items that people will look at are the capital assets. note, it will show the increases during the year. So in 2019, there was purchase of equipment for a total of $60,702. It reflects the depreciation for the year as well. It will break out the future maturities of any leases that the district has. As of yet, these are not reflected on the financial statements, but coming soon, FASB and GASB will have us all reflecting all the future maturities of our leases in our financial statement as assets and liabilities.
Okay.
It breaks down any future note receivables, and this isn't a notes payable, this is the notes receivable for the property that was sold by the district, so we can see the future funds that will be coming in to the district for that sale. And then a subsequent event note.
Right.
Beyond that, the financial statements contain supplementary information. This will be the budget to actual, so that you can kind of see, based on their budget, where did the district land for the year. And the final statement, our appropriation spending limit. There should be one more. Did we skip over it? Did I miss it? I missed it. Here it is. This is the combining statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes. And so basically what this reflects is the different funds within the district, because the district actually has multiple functions. So that you can kind of see what were the expenses associated with fire, which is of course the biggest fund for the district,
Right.
parks and recreations, and then usually there's a little bit for the street lights.
Right.
Any questions?
I don't have any.
No?
Mm-mm.
All right. We did during our audit make a few recommendations to the district's area that they could improve going forward. Other than that, we had no difficulties. We encountered no difficulties in performing the audit work. They've always been good at getting us whatever information we're looking for in order to perform our procedures.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, most of that comes from Bonnie. Is that correct?
Yes.
From our bookkeeper?
Bonnie is a very good resource for the district. She keeps everything as far as the electronic accounting, knowing the ins and outs, the adjustments. She's very helpful in explaining those to us. And I think it's a great asset for the district to be able to have somebody who understands bookkeeping and maintains those records for them.
Right.
And she knows a lot of the history too, which is helpful.
Do any of the board members have any other questions? Not at this time. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Johnny's talking, he got muted.
Oh. Bring Johnny back in.
Okay. John.
I can't hear him.
I know, I can't either. I saw his mouth
He's
moving.
muted right now.
Hang on.
Okay, we got to unmute him.
Hang on, he's working on it.
There it is.
Okay. Kendra, can I ask a little bit of a personal question? Does
Sure.
that thing over your eye have little tiny holes in it?
No, actually, it just blocks off the vision of the blurry eye so that I can
Oh, I see.
the one eye that wants to work. Yeah.
I have a question.
Got
Yeah.
it.
In the opening letter, it stated there was extreme difficulties in getting information from the district management. I'd like to comment on that one.
Report to governance.
On our first two-page letter, it stated there was a difficulty in receiving information from the management. I'd like to know why.
The problem that we identified is the changeover in the office and the manner in which different people have chosen to file documents made it difficult to locate things. So the recommendation that I've made to the district is that they actually set a policy of these are the documents we're going to retain, here's how they're going to be filed, and here's where they're going to be filed. So what happens is when you have changeover in the front office, each person who comes in tends to file things in a way that makes sense to them. And given the changeover in the front office, the filing system is kind of broken down. And so Bonnie thankfully keeps kind of a set of records. But I made the recommendation that the district set down a policy, a set system, so that whoever is working in their front office is doing it the same way, no matter who comes in to that position, year in and year out. Ultimately, we were able to get all the documents that we needed for our testing, but that was a difficulty this year.
Well, from what I understand, the office is already, from your suggestion and from the needs that the district found, they are already doing that, and I think it's going to be much better in the future.
Right.
Well, we're
Because
also
they've
gonna
taken your suggestion.
we're going to be scanning documents in. All of the stuff's going to be scanned into a computer now, so it'll just be on the computer instead of just in the files. And the files have been all redone to what we had talked about as far as so they could be selected on the ones that you're going to be looking for. So the audit stuff. So that's
Right.
already been accomplished back when you were here.
Right. So, and unfortunately, it's a common problem we've seen in many entities across many industries. The employment situation tends to fluctuate. People move a lot more than they used to, whereas before you would have somebody in a position for 20 years and they would just hand down this set system. So I find that I need to make this recommendation, whereas before I used to say, a filing system and how you retain documents is only useful to the person who has to retrieve it. Well, now when we see this turnover in employment across several industries, people tend to move around more than they used to. That's why I made the recommendation that the district really set its policy of how its records were maintained in an orderly fashion to help the district. Not only with the audit, but in any instance where they need to find the necessary documentation.
Right, absolutely. And that is being worked on, and we've taken that very seriously because we realize, even like you say, it's not only through the audit, but it's for grant writing and for all the grant paperwork. I mean, it's for the whole everything. So thanks for getting us moving on that.
Good. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other questions, board members? Okay, thank you so much, Kendra, for joining us, and we appreciate all your efforts, and we'll see you again next year.
Yes, it's coming up soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to, okay, where, oh yeah. I would like a motion to accept and approve the financial statement from Smith and Marion, the audit. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Who is that?
Second.
Lori.
And
Lori?
Second from Christina.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any, what is the word I'm
Abstain.
thinking of?
Abstain. Doors looking for abstain.
Any abstentions? Right. Okay. Got it. Okay, on we go. The next is the conflict of interest. and I guess, Christina, you're gonna head that off.
Okay. So just to refresh everybody's memory a little bit, at our March 18th meeting, there was a motion on the table that there was a call for a vote for a conflict of interest for Director Campos. And that was based on some of the oldest ethic laws in California that are published by the Fair Political Practices Commission, where it's the purpose to ensure that every public officer be guided by the public interest rather than personal interest. And to me, I went over a lot of concerns that I had, because there was basically, in summary, some concerns that Matthew had wanted to have the general manager position, and we had already combined the general manager with the fire chief job. We called it a director of operations. And it's kind of been an ongoing situation where we keep on, even though we voted for that, we keep on going back and rehashing about why should the general manager position be separated. And it's basically a financial situation where our district doesn't have very many resources. So that argument, we already voted on it, and you would think that the boat was sort of rowing in one direction, but we kept on getting stalled back. And so I felt like, based on some people's testimony to me, that Matthew had a conflict of interest, because as soon as he voiced that he wanted to have the general manager position, he became someone that was not impartial, because when you would get a job as a general manager, you would have a financial gain. So there are violations for that about financial interests under Section 1090 in that Fair Political Practices document. So there are also severe penalties for that, including fines, imprisonment, and not being able to hold public office again. So during the motion was made, because obviously then a lot of discussion ensued, because we took a motion and then you're allowed to discuss. Because it got so loud and rambunctious from the public, we weren't able to carry on our discussion anymore, and our board president closed the meeting at that time. So then in April, we were not able to have a meeting, and so this is now on the table for our May meeting. As we were having discussion, Director Campos made a suggestion that I hadn't thought of, but that he said that he might just want to resign. And then at that point, I tried to meet him halfway and say, well, maybe you should just consider recusing yourself from discussions that have to do with this financial interest revolving around the general manager's position. So then there were two other solutions in front of us, which would be recuse, resign, or go for the conflict of interest. So at this point, Matthew's had a lot of time to think about it since March. So I want to ask Matthew, Director Campos, if he has decided whether he wants to recuse, resign, or would he like me to make the motion for the conflict of interest and we take a vote? And what will happen if the conflict of interest vote does carry, I don't know if it will, but if it does carry, then the
Johnny,
evidence,
wait a minute. Christina, hold on a second. Johnny, everyone is going to get their opportunity to speak. We're going to let each of us finish what we have to say and have there be a pause, and then I will ask if anyone would like to say something else. So let Christina finish. Thank you.
So if the vote for conflict of interest would carry, then I would be turning over all the testimony that I have accumulated, and I've gotten actually more since the last meeting in March. And I would turn that over to the Fair Political Practices Legal Division and let them investigate it to see whether or not our testimonies are founded or not. Because when I first spoke to the attorney, he gave me one piece of advice, which was As soon as Matthew voiced that he wanted the general manager position, he actually should have resigned his position. Then our attorney went back on that and kind of said something slightly different than that. And then I talked to him again later in April, and he went back to what we had originally said. So I kind of just don't feel like it's our attorney's area of expertise. So instead, I would just turn over all of the testimony that I have to the legal division of the Fair Political Practices Commission and have them do the investigation and have them do their findings. So, so there's recuse, resign, or call for the vote. And that's the end of my
Okay, now, who would like to, Johnny, would you like to speak now?
Yes.
Okay.
I have had extensive conversations with our attorney.
I bet you have.
You can laugh what you want, Gary. Don't even go there tonight. He has point blank said that he has said it is actually 180 from what Christina has stated. He said there was never a conflict of interest. He has taken the time to write 2 letters to this board to state there was no conflict of interest. No, there's never been a conflict of interest, and that is directly from our attorney, and he wrote 2 letters. The second letter was written at no charge to the district because a district board member called, irate at him over the first one. Why are we wasting our time and the public's time when the attorney has already said, 1, no, he never said there's a conflict of interest. So Christina, you're wrong. 2, he stated there is no
Johnny,
conflict.
he
No,
actually has
Christina,
changed-
let him finish. Christina,
Oh.
let him finish, and then we'll come
Okay,
back
I
to
thought he
you.
was done.
Go ahead, Johnny.
2, he has stated there is no conflict of interest. There has been no conflict of interest. You are wasting our time with petty BS. This is nothing more than personal attacks. We have business to run the district we need to get to. Should have been settled already. The attorney already told me the only thing he figures we should be talking about tonight is an apology because there is no conflict of interest. Straight from the attorney, the man who went to law school, the man who studied the law, the man who passed the bar, the man who practices law on a daily basis.
Who?
Stephen Kennedy, our attorney. The one Christina keeps saying he told it, he point blank told me, no, I never said there was a conflict of interest, and I never said Matthew should have resigned. That is straight from the attorney.
Well, I have the notes exactly of when I was talking to Mr. Kennedy the very first time, and I have it all written right down here. And like I said, he did change his opinion, and he wrote some letters to us. And then I called him again, and he changed his mind again. So I really feel like he does not have the expertise in this area. And so I'm urging us to do one of these 3 solutions: recuse, resign, or call for the motion. So that's where I'm at. He does not have the expertise.
Matthew?
The attorney took the time to write 2 letters to tell the entire board there was no conflict. We are wasting time.
I still feel as though that
Okay.
he does not have the expertise.
All right.
Thank you.
Matthew.
I don't have a conflict of interest. I have never applied for the position. The position has never been open. There is absolutely nothing that shows that I have done anything to cause the position to be available. Do I want a general manager? Yes. I like the situation where we currently have a single position. There's a lot of responsibility there. And I still feel that it has created more problems and ended up costing us more money. We agreed to do that as a cost-saving experiment to see if it worked. I don't think it works. And that's why I always call for a general manager. I have stated several times, I do not want the job. I have a job that I absolutely love. I go to it every day. In fact, I've been working every day, even during this time of being at home. And if you feel that you need to pursue that, feel free. Because I am not going to resign. I am not going to recuse myself. I have no conflict of interest. There's no financial gain. There's no interest in that position whatsoever. And I think you are wasting a lot of time and resources. And you talk about wanting to build unity within our board, and yet you pull these kind of shenanigans to do nothing but disrupt and try to separate us. This is not something that is building unity amongst our board and amongst our district and helping to build our department and move us forward. And I think it's really rather sad that we're wasting this kind of time and energy and effort and finances, because it's an absolutely moot point. So
Is there anybody?
if on your feelings you feel that you need to pursue this, then you know, please do, because there are other concerns. If you want to talk about some, you know, conflict of interest and financial issues, you know, there are things that can definitely be brought up with others in mind. But my point is that no, I do not want the job. I've never applied for the job. I may have said it at one point in time years ago. You're absolutely correct that I do not want a single person running as the general manager and all of that. It's a situation where no, we need a general manager, we need a fire chief, we need those checks and balances, we need somebody that is going to be a buffer between us and the rank and file. It's cost us more money this way than what we had before. So obviously, whatever you vote, I'm going to vote no. But you know, Christina, if you feel that that's what you need to do, then go right ahead and do it, because I have nothing to hide.
Okay. My recommendation is not based on feelings. My recommendation is based on facts. So I'm going to go ahead and call for the question, if you don't mind, Madam President.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can I comment?
Oh yeah, Lori.
I have my hand up.
Okay.
I just want to recap. What I hear is Johnny saying there are 2 letters from our attorney, Stephen Kennedy, that specifically states there's no conflict of interest. I'd like to know where those are, because I do not remember reading that.
What?
Okay,
My
that's the
apologies.
first
My
one.
apologies. I'm sorry.
I'm glad that Matthew admitted that he had said that sometime in the past, because I was going to suggest that we review tapes of past meetings, because I do remember that you said that, Matthew. So thank you for admitting it, that you did.
I don't think I've ever said it in a meeting, no.
Yes, you did. Otherwise, where else would I have heard it?
I have no idea, but
Matthew, it's Lori's turn to talk now. So
I'm
let her
just saying
finish.
what I
go
remember.
ahead.
And I remember hearing you say it. And I was going to say maybe we need to review the tapes of the previous meetings. Third, during this conversation, I believe Christina mentioned that she had new evidence. I haven't heard anything about that. That's all I have to say at the moment.
May I
Yes, and that
respond?
new evidence I would just turn over to the Fair Political Practices Commission as part of my package to them. And let them decide, because they have the expertise on this matter.
Lori stated that I mentioned the 2 letters. They were sent to every board member's email, Lori. Did you not get them from the attorney?
I didn't read that in them.
So you didn't read in bold letters, not a conflict of interest?
Don't
You got them
recall.
on Saturday.
I guess I'll have to pull them up and look at them again.
Yeah, you might want to. Because the second
Okay, so
the second one he stated,
You know,
that he was not.
That's what you said,
serving the
Johnny.
district.
okay.
if
Let's
you like, Gail, I would like. I
you
could-
finish, Matthew. You're the person. You finish, and then we're going to call for the question.
You don't have that authority, Gail, so get off of it.
Johnny,
You don't have the authority. Go ahead, Matthew.
Johnny, did you hear what I read at the beginning of the thing? If anybody tries to interrupt the meeting, and that includes
You cannot
our
throw
board
me out of the
members,
meeting, Gail.
I'm not going to throw you out, but I'm
Okay,
saying
then
I
let the man
can
talk, because you don't have the authority
decide
to talk.
when the discussion is closed.
No, you do not.
Johnny, I can decide when the discussion is
No,
closed.
you do
You are
not.
the person who just said, be quiet, Johnny. You are
Do
the
not tell me
person
to be
who
quiet.
said, we're wasting too much time. You just got through
Yeah.
saying we're wasting too much time. I agree with you on that. And I want Matthew to have the final word because it's about him. And then we're going to call for the question.
Except Gail,
Matthew.
you didn't make any comments yourself. Did you have any? Gail?
Yeah. I've talked to Steve Kennedy on several occasions, and as Christina said, he's kind of waffled back and forth. And I do believe there is other evidence, and what bothers me the most about this whole situation is that both Matthew and Johnny are saying we're wasting time on this, and it's tearing the board apart. But basically, it's the two of them and their actions, in my opinion, that are the ones that are tearing the board apart and the district apart. And that's why I feel it's very unfair for them to try to say it's us, when all we're trying to do is get things working. And if they can show a situation where things aren't working, I would like to hear it at a future time when it's on the agenda. So Matthew, you get the last word.
You're muted. You have to unmute.
Unmute yourself, Matthew.
He can't. Jim has to.
Unmute, Matthew.
All right. Unmute. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
All right. This was in the email that was addressed to all of us. It was sent on April 18. This is from Mr. Steve Kennedy. Quote, as I stated, based upon my understanding of the facts, it is my opinion that a statutory prohibited conflict of interest has not yet been triggered for any of the board members, since the general manager position is not vacant and because no director has made an employment decision at this point in time that one has resulted in a direct material impact on his or her financial interests within the meaning of the Political Reform Act, or two, constituted the making of any conflict with the district to which that director is a part in or her individual capacity within the meaning of Government Code Section 1090. He states it very clearly that there was no conflict of interest, that the points of the fact that the position is not available, as nobody has ever applied for it. You know, these are key factors. And I may have stated that at one time that, you know what, yeah, that would be cool. But like I said, I have no desire to be the general manager of the Morongo Valley Community Services District. I have stated that more emphatically than I have ever said that I wanted the position. And if you can't accept that and you want to pursue it, then like I said, that's your prerogative. You have all of this quote unquote proof, which I'm sure is, well, we'll see, you know?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay. All right. Okay. So Christina, do you want to call for the question?
Yeah, and I'm just going to point out that Mr. Kennedy did say in his opinion, and that was on April 18th. And on April 23rd, there was another discussion with him where he waffled again back to the original discussion that Gail and I were both on that phone call. And so we both had heard what Mr. Kennedy said at the beginning. So I just really don't feel like he has the expertise. So I'm ready to call for the motion. which is to
Okay.
vote whether or not the board feels that Matthew Campos has a conflict of interest based on the discussion that we had.
Is there a second?
Can you restate that, please?
I'm making a motion that whether the board feels that Matthew Campos has a conflict of interest as stated in the public, let me read this again, the statement where this is the Fair Political Practices statement, where every public officer be guided by public interest rather than personal interest. And I feel that that's been violated, and I feel like there's a conflict of interest. And if we vote for a conflict of interest, then I will be turning over the statements that I have to the Fair Political Practices Commission for them to do their own investigation within their legal department. So that's the motion. To
So
vote
is there
whether or
a
not
second?
we have a conflict of
Is
interest.
there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, and let's have it be a head count. Gary?
Gil Swart,
Aye.
Christina Brooke,
Aye.
Matthew Campos,
No,
Lori Klimowitz,
Aye.
Johnny Tolbert.
Nay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on. Let's see. We don't, the sheriff's not on board with us tonight, is he, Gary?
I don't see him, Jim. Is the sheriff? No.
Okay. We've gotten, okay, the director of operations report, Mr. Yearsley.
Okay, in March, we don't have much to go on because we were closed. The park was closed. We didn't
Right.
have anything really going on. We did have some people going down to the park, but it was closed at the time. Not very many did try to go. We did a hiring of a paramedic during the month of April, which we put on. So now there's another full-time medic on, and his last name is Garcia. We want to welcome him to the family. We did a job interview for engineers, and we had Engineer Sundahl and Engineer Murphy left for other jobs. So we ran that, and we didn't have any qualified applicants at the time to follow through. So we've got that back out again. The only other thing I'd like to bring up is the COVID-19 reminder that the Morongo Valley Community Service District and Fire Department like to remind everyone to stay safe. If you have symptoms that would suggest being infected or have to come in contact with someone who is, please let dispatch know when you call 911 so first responders would know. The best way to prevent contracting the illness is to practice proper hygiene, wash your hands often, avoid close contact, cover your coughs and sneezes, clean and disinfect your surroundings, and practice social distancing. It's proven to work in other places, so I know they've relaxed the CDC has relaxed what they're letting happen, but I still think that just to be prudent, it'd be good for those to cover up. And I know we have a lot that aren't, but I think that'll still help. Our calls and walk-ins for the office, we had 49 calls in March. At the beginning of March, when we were still open, we had 6 walk-ins. In April, we had 38 phone calls, no walk-ins because we were closed all of that time. The run report for the fire department was we had 30 ALS calls, 2 BLS calls. We didn't have any fires, which was nice. Traffic collisions, we had 1 with injury and 1 without injury. We had 5 hazmat or electrical type fires problems, and no incident found or canceled calls. There were 7, and we had 3 public assists. We've been doing a lot of training. Just to start off the training report, to let you know, our biggest concern for training was our COVID-19. We did all kinds of things. We had to go find suits. We had Tyvek suits. We had to go find PPEs. It became very hard to get that, so the guys were taken care of. But so the March training was, we did hose tool selection, PPE drills, auto extrication, utility shutoffs, ground monitor operations, Mayday calls, fire ground communications, building construction, SCBA operations, salvage, overhaul, wildland training, company officer training, leadership and ethics training, supply line operations, search and rescue, ventilation, and radio communications. And then into the medical was, like I said, the COVID-19, decontamination, making sure everything was clean, infectious control, ALS assist and cardiac monitor, trauma, medical inventory, patient assessment. Physical training, they did a lot of trail hikes and runs up in Big Morongo Canyon, daily crew workouts. They have a hike up on the mountains up here. It's called Old Glory. That was one of the ones they go up to get. It's one of the harder ones to climb. And weightlifting and CrossFit. Total amount of hours they had was 383. And then in the April report, we had 25 EMS calls with 22 ALS, 3 BLS. We had 3 fires. We had a structure, a vehicle, and a debris fire. We had traffic collisions. We had 5 with injury, none of them without injuries. No electrical or hazmat. We had 4 that were canceled or no incident found, and 3 public assists. And basically, I could go over the whole list again of training, but it's pretty much the same with auto extrication and tools, wildland training, salvage overhaul, fire communications, and then back to the medical. Again, we really hit hard on the COVID-19 protocols, updates, the decontamination, infectious control, learning more about and working with CAL FIRE on our calls coming in with more specific things that are wrong with the person, so we know how we've got to go in on the call. And then back to the same, pretty much the same thing with the physical training of 258 hours of training. And that's it. That's what I have for my report.
Thanks. Go ahead, Johnny.
You said Mayday call and lunar reports. What are those?
Well, a Mayday call is when the guys are out in the fire and something goes wrong. It's how they would make the sound or noise besides their SCBA unit that goes off, how they would alert everybody around them that they're having problems.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know what that was. Thank you.
Are you still having the personnel wear masks when they're outside of the fire station?
Yes, we direct them to do it. Every once in a while, they head outside and forget, but they are wearing masks on all their calls and stuff as they go out, yes.
And do they actually have the N95 masks?
We have enough N95s for all runs. We don't use those around the station. We use what they call a simple mask. And
right.
So yes, we're doing fine on N95s. The only thing that we're being close on is our Tyvek suits. We do have aprons that were provided by the CAL FIRE and them, but problem is the aprons barely cover and they have a little tie in the back. The Tyvek suit isn't complete. We do still have some, but we're getting close on them. We're trying to get more. That's probably our only critical point that I would like to see us have, but we do have aprons we can use.
And I think you told me we are going to be reimbursed for some of the COVID-19 supplies that we needed.
Yes, plus they even supplied some to us without a cost. But yes, the Tyvek suits and stuff that we bought and extra gloves, yes, they're going to be reimbursed.
Is that by the state?
OTS is going to reimburse that to us. So we keep track of that, our extra personnel that we ran to run the squad for a little while, cost of the squad, cost of fuel. We keep anything that would have been a cost related to running the COVID calls.
Great. Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the Director of Operations report?
So moved.
Okay, Johnny, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lori? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay. All right, Risk Management and Public Relations Ad Hoc Committee report. To Director Klimowitz or Brooke have anything on that?
No, nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Director of Operations Ad Hoc Committee. I think you have something there, Christina, on the chief's certs.
Yes.
Okay.
We got a very good, I have to check the Google Docs later on in the meeting, but pre the meeting, people were able to give their input or ask a question before the meeting, and that was posted on the agenda where they could get the Google Doc. And we did have two people provide input and questions. One was Darren Sandin of Morongo Valley, and the other person is Don Kraus of Morongo Valley as well. So under this agenda item, Mr. Sandin's question number 4 could be answered as part of this committee. Mr. Sandin's question is this is his exact words. Where is the physical proof of Chief Yearsley's certifications to be a fire chief? And if you are wandering around on Facebook, you'll see that that's also a lot of questions that the community has. But Darren did submit that officially, so we can answer his question now under this agenda item. So I have researched with the help too and of Chief Brakebill, who is an instructor at the community college at the Fire Academy, the California Fire Marshal, their website, the NFPA 1021 guidelines, and also BLS guidelines as well. And in summary, the requirements for a fire chief, according to the BLS, firefighters must hold at least a high school diploma, and a fire chief is a firefighter who has accumulated the education, training, and experience needed to advance through the ranks. The average salary for a firefighter, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, is $80,310 a year on average throughout the United States. Although the fire chief does perform firefighting, rescue, and medical response services, he or she is primarily an administrative position. The fire chief does things like scheduling and assigning duties to the firefighters, training and drilling the firefighter and rescue techniques that Chief Yearsley just talked about in his training report, and monitoring the performance and oversees advancement of the firefighting team. And it's important to note through the California Fire Marshal's website that it is up to each particular jurisdiction as to what requirements that service area, town, city, etc. needs. So when Chief Yearsley was hired back in 2017, he brought certain certifications with him that Gail and I have seen where they are located, where is the physical proof, is in a white notebook in the CSD's office. And we've both looked at that as ad hoc committee members. And we have a list of 42 certifications and information on qualifications for the fire chief that some had when he was hired, and he has since added to the list. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll go ahead and list his certifications, and then this is a public document that I can hold it up, the 42 certifications, but I'll go ahead and read them. If that's all right with you, Madam President?
Yes.
Okay. Number 1, He has an executive management professional development degree from Texas A&M University. From the University of Arkansas, he earned his mid-management training certificate. He also has course 124M in management skills assessment. He has another course that he passed. These are all, of course, courses that he passed and has certifications for, which is understood. Understanding diversity, workers' compensation training, EEO for managers course 087H, management development course, advanced management training, intermediate management training, assistant manager operations training, operations management training, EMT 1 course 120 hours, public safety first aid and CPR per Title 22 Division 9 Chapter 1.5 through 3, AAH CPR and AED BLS provider certified in 2017 and then renewed in 2019. AH First Aid Heart Saver 2017 and 2019. Auto Extrication CAL FIRE 2010 and CSFA 2017. First Responder Operation Level Hazardous Materials 2012, 17, and 2020. First Responder Awareness Level Hazardous Materials 2017. Fire Control 1, Fire Control 2, Fire Control 6. Firefighter 1. Confined Space Rescue Awareness 2012-2017. S-130 2013-2017. S-190 2013 and 2017. I-100, I-200, ICS 700, ICS 800. Live Fire Internal Attack. Driver 1A, Driver 1B. Open Water Diver. Advanced Open Water Diver, Deep Diver Specialty Diver, Rescue Diver, High Desert Pipeline Training First Responders, NFPA 1500 Bloodborne Pathogen Safety Training, California State Contractor's License, Certificate of Election Board of Directors, and Ethics Training 2015-2019. That is a list of his qualifications that are on display in our CSD office, and this list is available. So I believe that we now have answered Mr. Sandon's question, which was question number 4. He has 4 questions
I have a
tonight,
question.
and we have answered question number 4. Yes?
Okay, Johnny?
That's a real nice list and everything, but where are they? That list is something anybody can write or type up.
As
But
I
he is-
just said, Johnny,
Excuse
I don't
me,
know
let
if
me
you heard me,
finish.
but
Let
all
me
the
finish,
certifications,
Please let me finish. You said you saw his nice notebook with it all written down. That's
Mhm.
great. That is not the question. Anybody can write down that. The question is, where are these certs? How are they verified? Show them to the people is what is being asked. It is
they
not
are in
being-
a notebook in the
you can write
CSD
down-
office.
Not saying
They
you
are
can
in
write
a
anything
notebook
down.
in the
I cannot
CSD
look at
office with signatures and so forth. So you can open up the notebook and you can look at all this. This is a summary of what's in the notebook.
In other
A
words,
certi-
the certificates are in the notebook.
Correct.
Yes,
So you can go
that's
look.
correct.
question.
Yes. And by the
So,
way,
I would like
these-
to actually call on Chief Brakebill to go ahead and verify whether my understanding of the California Fire Marshal and NFPA 1020 and BLS was accurate as I stated it. Chief Brakebill, would you mind chiming in there?
Yes, Christina, the NFPA clearly states that the authority having jurisdiction, which is in this case, the Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors, sets the guidelines and the requirements to hire a fire chief. The reason the NFPA has that is because different jurisdictions have different types and different levels of fire service. All right, the NFPA 1021 that you refer to is a set of guidelines that should the board adopt, they can either adopt all or part. of it, and they are strictly recommendations. That's why when you apply for a chief's job at various departments, there's no one job description that's the same. It has to be developed by the city HR department, or in this case, the board of directors.
Okay, so Mr. Braybill, are you saying that what I reported is accurate?
Yes, it's up to the board of directors to set the requirements for their fire chief.
Okay, very good. All right, so we answered where is it located, where are all the certifications, and then of course I read the summary.
And I would like to add to that Johnny, by your saying that, well, where are the certificates? What you are ultimately saying is that we did not do our duty. We said we would check into this, and we did check into it on behalf of the board. And we saw every one of the certificates. And it bothers me when Matthew says we all should be working together, and you say we should all be working together as one unit and working to make this thing fly. And then you say, well, you're basically saying we didn't do our job.
No, no.
Well, we did. Well, we did, and all of the certificates are in the booklet, and anybody can see them that wants to see them.
I'm not insinuating you didn't do your job, Gail.
Are there
But
any other
you-
questions?
Gail, I'm not insinuating that you didn't do your job. I am stating the fact that I was told by Mr. Sandin that he wanted to see the certificates. So I want to know where they are so he can see them. That's all I
Now we
said.
know.
I did
Do
not
you
say.
now know where they are, Johnny? Have I been clear enough about where they are now?
Yes,
Do you know where
have.
they are?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anything else to say, Christina, on the Director of Operations Ad Hoc Committee? Is there anything else?
No, I answered Mr. Sandin's question number 4 with our committee report.
Okay. Okay, that was number 4. Okay. Fire Apparatus Driving Parameters Ad Hoc Committee. Directors Brooke and Tolbert. Mr. Tolbert, do you want to start that off?
We haven't had a meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Okay. Christina, do you have
for the-
anything?
For the next meeting, I would like to have our fire chief, either himself or his staff, prepare a report for us as to how it is going with the driving parameters that we had talked about many meetings. But just if we could please have an update at our next May meeting, please, and put it on the agenda.
Christina, we might want to think about that again, because right now we had talked about putting the brush patrol out first, and unfortunately the brush patrol is down. So it's I think it'd be kind of hard for them to make a report on something that unfortunately they can't use right now.
Okay,
It is
so
still
maybe
empty.
Johnny, we'll just have a committee meeting. We can Zoom or something, right, Johnny?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, cool, we'll do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Morongo Valley Community Services District and Fire Department Funding Ad Hoc Committee. President Swart and Director Campos. Director Campos, do you have anything to bring to the board?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The situation that we're going to need to be very creative in expanding our funding situations. We're going to need to make sure that, because I don't think at this point in time, with everything that's going on, and also considering the time factor, that the tax is going to go anywhere. I think it would be a very expensive proposition to try to put in at this time. So that means that we need to listen to the expertise of others, and see what we can do to expand our revenue stream. And one of the suggestions that has been proposed to me is investigating the potential of Morongo Valley Fire Department having its own ambulance service. And
Okay.
I've been in contact with the fire chief up in Idlewild, which is a station that's very comparable to ours, and they happen to run their own ambulance service. So there's obviously some costs up front, but I think that that is something that we could definitely look into and could help mitigate some of those costs with, you know, again, appropriate grants and things like that. And it's a decent revenue stream. Of course, there's other things that we would need to consider, and there's timing and working out an agreement with MBA, and there's a lot of you know, issues that would need to be dealt with. But it's not an impossible situation, and it's a situation that would increase our services to our community. It would increase response time. You know, they could be there within 7 minutes, just like our firefighters, and we wouldn't have to wait for an ambulance coming in from Joshua Tree or something of that nature. So it's a situation that I think is really intriguing, and I'm getting some more information from Idlewild as to how their program works. But it's something really worthwhile, really worth looking into. And also I think that we need to consider making sure that we are available for strike teams, that we have our equipment lined up, that we have our manpower lined up. I know some smaller agencies around us that last year earned 3 times, 4 times what we did as far as strike team income is concerned. And
what agencies are those, Matthew?
Idlewild for one, and I think
Okay.
as I understand it, Yermo did pretty well last year as well.
What did you do last year?
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So, you know,
Okay.
I think that we need to make sure that we make that somewhat of a priority, so that our equipment, our personnel, you know, is ready. You know, that we have the staff that we need, because although we can't put it into our budget, it's definitely money that comes in handy and pays for a lot of things when it works well and when we get that income. And I got a feeling that this is going to be a tough year as far as fires
With everything coming up.
Lori, you've got, yeah, Lori?
Matthew, does you and Gail, right?
Yes.
Are there specific people on the committee who are actually spending real time researching more grants for the CSD in general?
Not on this committee at this time, no.
No.
Okay. So that's something somebody should try to do, because that's one of our only ways to get money, especially with the COVID and all the stress the community's going through. They're not going to want to pay any more taxes.
Nope.
No.
Go ahead, Matthew.
And it is quite timely that, Matthew, it's an excellent suggestion. You know that my company does grant writing and research, and we actually just put in a grant application, and it's through the stimulus money, the CARE Act. We put in for an ambulance and a 7-day generator and a PPE and some staff for a Native American tribe up near Porterville, California. And so there is money, and perhaps the Native American tribes may be the first ones that got the first money that came out.
Yeah.
And so we should watch for that, because we did just apply for an ambulance and and also a 7-day generator for the medication, because they only had a generator for 2 days, but so they could keep their medications compliant. They're gonna get a better generator. So good idea, Lori. There is other information out there. And if I know it as a volunteer on this board, because obviously I don't take any remuneration from this board, I'm completely a volunteer, we will definitely make you aware of those opportunities.
Thanks, Christina. I was thinking that we would, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, Christina bring up a 7-day generator. Gary, do we know how long our generator will work for if everything went down here?
Yes, our generator, as long as we keep fueling it, it just will keep going. And all we have to do, we keep it fueled up, it'll run for about 12 hours on the tank, and then we can just keep adding as it's running. So ours doesn't run a certain amount of time, because some of the LP ones that you have to fill the tank, they're the ones that are limited to just when that tank's, runs out. Ours, we can keep filling as it runs.
Yeah, the Native American tribe had a propane one, and so it caused trouble. They could only have 2 days worth, and they need to get a bigger tank and bigger capacity.
Makes sense.
Great, thank you, Gary.
Also, Johnny, we're putting a new switch in there. The one that we were having a problem switching it over. We got the new switch in, and he should be putting that in the next week. So we won't have the issue of it not switching over right when they flip it. It was having some issues with it shorting out, or at least it would not transfer the power. And then we're also going to change some of the power lines to run the AC, heat, and lights inside the station, instead of so much that was going to the office. Whoever set it up, over 3/4 of the power went to the office. Well, we're reverting it back over to the station, so the guys have all the facilities over there running 100% of the time we're on generator.
Great,
And
thank you.
Gary, is that fueled by gasoline?
Diesel. It's a diesel one. It's
Okay.
actually more efficient, and the best thing about it is diesel's not as flammable. So, and then that way we don't have to rely on a propane tank. And so if we had a disaster where nobody could come out, we can get diesel, but you sometimes can't get your propane tanks out to fill them. So that is better as far as I'm concerned. It's nice to have the propane tanks, but they definitely are limited to what tank you have there. You can't fill them if you can't get a truck out there.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that we will be putting this on. We're going to be talking in a little while about our budget meeting that we're going to have. And I think we'll learn a lot when we look at the new budget that we're going to have to come up with, to see how much money we actually do have. And I think that will give us an idea of what we're going to need to do to get money. The other worry I have is because of the COVID-19 epidemic, that a lot of people aren't working. And that means that a lot of people aren't going to be able to pay their taxes, perhaps. And most of our money comes from either the assessment or taxes, which come in at the same time. You pay the assessment when you pay your taxes. It's one bill. So we're going to have to really look at that and see if we're going to have a shortfall this year. And so we'll look at that really carefully when we decide when we're going to have our budget meeting. Are there any other comments that need to be made? Okay, we're now at the Morongo Valley Sports League. Is Buddy on board tonight? Mr. Stoner?
Did Buddy make it?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's listed here.
Yes. Buddy's on.
Unmute him.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Buddy.
Hi,
Evening.
I'm
You
here.
want to, yeah, well,
Everybody.
we've got you on the agenda. Do you have a report of some kind? Would you like to tell us what's going on?
Well, as far as
At the ball
softball
field?
goes, I'm waiting for the park to reopen so we can get back down there and start maintaining it. I'm also waiting for a call back from our insurance company so I can talk to them about as far as how to go forward with this year's softball league and do it safely.
Uh-huh.
They had mentioned something about the snack shack. I don't know if we're gonna be able to serve food. We may be able to serve candy, snacks, and stuff like that, but as far as prep food, that may be off right now. But like I
Right.
said, we're looking into that more, and I'm waiting for the call back. Do we know when the park is gonna be open?
Mr. Yearsley, what, can they be working on the ball field?
Yes, he can work on the ball field because he can have the distancing and he can also keep it under 10 people while they work on it. So he can do that, but he won't be able to start his teams and stuff yet because till we open the park, we can't have people participating in stuff in the park till we have reopened our parks.
And are you following the county on that, Gary?
Yeah, I've got the reopening San Bernardino County list right here. And some parks are opening and can be open. And it's up to the individual districts now to do that. And we have a resolution that we have to go over tonight, which we'll be doing later on, where we'll be discussing if we're going to decide to open up the park now or go 2 more weeks, 1 more week, or, just
Okay.
open it.
Good.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. I'm waiting on you guys to open up the park, and then I will take it from there. As far as maintaining the park, I'm gonna start back up this weekend and dragging the field and possibly replacing some of the sprinklers and stuff. So we'll just take it slow, but we're looking forward for a new season.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing you out there. Hopefully we'll be able to
really
do
want
this.
it. The
Yes,
kids
thank
gonna
you,
really
guys.
want it.
And
Mr.
I-
Stoker, did you
we
ever
are-
get any information about that Ventura Circus thing?
I had sent everything over to Gary. The girls had everything, and I think that is on the agenda for this meeting as well, is for you guys to come up with a price
Oh,
on what you are going to charge, so I can, in return, relay it back to them. If it's something they agree upon, then it's the green light. But again,
Okay.
I know that ain't going to happen right away because of the COVID.
right.
So, but if
Thank
we
you.
could, if I could
So
get some kind of answer to give to these guys, that would be nice.
Okay.
I don't know if we've researched it for this meeting, but we can have it for the
The
June
next
meeting.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely put that on there, and we'll do some research into what we need to charge and how we need
Right.
to work it.
Okay.
any-
And I had one other thing to say, but I'm getting
Yes.
old and I forgot. Oh, the Easter egg hunt. I'm sitting here staring at all this stuff in my garage. We
Okay.
are still planning on doing a late Easter egg hunt,
Okay.
but again, we have to wait for the fields to open and the parks.
Right.
So, but yeah, we're gonna have a late Easter egg hunt, even if it's in October.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks,
Sounds good.
buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're gonna stick around for a few minutes, right?
Oh yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna go on to the consent calendar to approve minutes. We have lots of minutes to approve. The March 18th meeting. Let's see, where do I have that? Okay. March. Are there any corrections to the March 18th minutes? I didn't see
Dale,
any.
these were the minutes that we were thinking had to be changed, but I reviewed my timeline again. The first time we talked to the attorney was April 6th, and then he wrote those letters, and so, we had to have talked about the conflict of interest thing on the April meeting, because we had spoken to the attorney April 6th, then we started talking, and then the letters are written on April 18th, and then on April 23rd, I talked to him again, and he had another opinion. So it's the April minutes that need to be changed, not the March ones. but if they did not adequately reflect that discussion. But I did have
Okay,
one change for the March minutes,
March 18th or 25th?
the March 18th.
Okay,
On page 3 of 5,
uh-huh,
this is the duty officer compensation report.
yeah,
About in the middle, it says, Director Brook insisted that the board of directors come to an agreement with the director of operations. I'm only one person on the board. I can't insist on something. I would rather have that word changed to urged.
okay. All right,
And that's the only correction I have for those minutes.
okay. Does anybody else have any for the March 18th minutes? Okay, we can I have a motion to approve the March 18th minutes
With the change.
with the
With the
change?
change. Yeah, so moved with the change.
Is there a second?
Second.
Johnny, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. Now, what about the March 25th? Are there any corrections on the March 25th? That anybody has? Okay, so do I have a motion that we approve the March 25th minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay, now we have the April 15th. I don't even know if we have minutes. Do we have minutes from April 15th? That was the meeting that kind of got sidetracked, right? That I had to close. So I don't think I see any minutes from that meeting.
I just looked through my stack. I don't see it either, but there should have been minutes taken prior to you closing the meeting down for the public disruption.
I have a copy from April.
Okay, so we'll,
15th,
oh,
H3.
okay.
Do you
Look on
have
the
them?
H3. Yeah, I have them printed out.
Okay, so I've got to find them.
April 15th, 2020.
Okay, can I take a minute to go pull those out of my computer then? And you
Yeah.
can go on to the next one,
Put together, but yeah.
It's,
unless
Christina,
somebody else has them too.
yeah, it's also on the, what we just got. What am I looking at here? The Google documents that were sent for this meeting.
Yeah, that's how I got mine.
Okay, let me go grab that then.
It's on there.
Okay. We can all take a break and have a drink of water or something.
Water? Just kidding. I've been drinking water all day. I need to take a break and go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And then what comes after that? Well, we're getting through this really well.
Yeah, let's see.
Is everybody enjoying this cooler than normal weather?
Except for
Oh,
the wind.
Except
Yeah,
at night at 2 in the morning when we have to go out on fires, it's kind of cold.
Oh. Yeah, it has been really
Yeah, I
cold.
saw a debris fire the other night. How'd that go?
Everybody was very lucky on that. It stayed down below a bunch of trees, oleanders, and bushes and just burned at ground level. The guys got their hoses deployed fast and saved a disaster on that one. It was
Well,
probably, it was started by a firework that a person threw down in the front yard. We saw a video of it today. The guy had on his camera. So it could have been a pretty big disaster, but it was caught in time.
Yeah, I was worried about that, all the wind, when I started coming across where all that wind, I was like, oh, that could be trouble.
Yeah, we clocked it at 35 miles an hour while we were there.
Not good.
Okay,
Um,
I have a reason why I don't have them. For the past 2 times that things have come out, I have not gotten packets, and I've had to have Gail forward me packets. For some reason, I'm not getting them from the CSD office. And Gail, you forwarded me 2 agendas, and then resolution
That's all.
5, MGO something, and LG1, but no minutes came over when you did that
Right.
forwarding to me.
And I didn't get any minutes. That's why I didn't get those
Some
minutes
people
either.
have
Okay.
minutes and some don't then.
no,
Yeah.
let me tell you where to find it. When you are in, on the email, okay, I'm looking for which email it is. I think,
The email with the agenda on it, you can click
Yeah.
on the Google Docs,
I'm
and
just
it
looking
brings
to
up with that
see,
Google Docs. That's where I got mine from.
yeah. Who sent the email though? That's what I'm
Within
trying
our
to.
agenda, is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, your computer's breaking up.
The one I got was from Brittany Chavez.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
Brittany's been
Would
sending
you
them out.
mind forwarding your email to me, Johnny? Could you please forward it to me? Because I'm not getting any kind of correspondence from the CSD office. I always have to get it from somebody else.
Really?
Christina?
Would you mind forwarding it to me, Johnny? The April 15th?
I can do it for you. I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Christina,
No problem.
where Brittany sent it was to your AOL account on Friday at 1:30.
Let me look.
Yeah. And it's from Brittany, May 20th, 2020 regular board meeting, blah, blah, blah.
No, I have no email at that time. So something might be messing up with AOL. I don't know, but I do not have it. I just checked my May 15th, all of the emails on May 15th. I don't have it.
Okay, and Johnny, if
So do
you
you
can
wanna-
send that to her, that's great. And then just realize that there's a link in the email that'll give you all these documents.
Right, if I only had the email, which I don't.
Okay.
So thank you.
So
for-
can we put the April 15th minutes on the next agenda so we don't have to stop?
I
Can we
think
just
it's important,
approve those
actually,
on the
because
next?
I actually think it's important because it's something that we just talked about this evening. So I apologize, but
Okay.
I'm not getting the email, but Johnny said he could forward it to me right now.
Oh, okay.
I apologize
Alrighty.
for the delay.
That's okay.
I don't know why I'm not getting them.
Christina, from now on, what I'll do is after Brittany sends those, I'll have her call to make sure people are getting those.
Okay, I
So
don't
we
know
make sure you
why.
guys have them in a timely manner.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, I just tried to send it to you. Let me know if you got it from me.
Christina, check your email. I just sent it, and I'm sorry for logging out of the meeting. It was an accident. But I just sent you my email, Christina. See if you got it come in.
Okay.
I'm sorry for leaving the meeting. That was by accident.
No,
No, we were taking a
you
break.
came back. You
I was
came
trying to
back.
get this email, and I kind of screwed things up there. My apologies.
I sent a copy too, so hopefully you got it.
Okay, I'm getting an agenda, and then the agenda is what I got from Lori. And
No, if you open the email, there's a link on it for the rest of the documents.
I see that, but it says it's a link for May 20th.
No,
Okay, let me see if I see April in it.
no. It says follow this link to access the supporting documents.
I'm muting myself.
Yeah, I know, I see that, and,
And you wonder why we don't get any.
okay, let me see, now I think I see the subset, hang on one second.
Okay,
Here I go, I can print this out. Okay, let me print them out. So sorry. But
that's okay. we're all learning how to do this distance learning, right?
Wouldn't be sorry, but we're trying to figure it out. Hopefully soon we want to do this, we can see each other again.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be popping out of my computer any second now, or printer.
Okay.
Okay, I have them.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry about that, but I do have them. Okay, now let's see. Okay, I remember that.
While you're looking, I do have a question about approving this
Yeah.
agenda. How important is it for us to correct grammar and spelling and stuff like that? Is it important? And I'm specifically looking at part F with Sydney's statement. Do we care whether there's some errors in it? That's my question. Meaning grammatical or, you know.
Right.
I would think as long as we can fully understand the comments, I don't think it's nothing, you know, legally we have to deal with. Legally, we have to be able to understand what the comment is, and anybody who requests the minutes from us has to understand what the comment is.
Okay.
These are our official records once we approve them. So, you know, you might have a misspelling here or there, but if you know what it's saying, I
Okay.
can't see a problem with that.
That makes sense. It's
That's,
just
yep.
a habit of mine.
Well, you're a teacher.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the conflict of interest is on page 4. It is discussed on page 4 of the minutes. And it does say that my computer connection, Director Brooks' connection was poor and we could not hear her. So possibly during that part was where we motioned to have a vote. And then because if you recall, we said, okay, we'll take a motion and then we'll discuss it. Because there was a discussion about whether we could even discuss it with a motion or without a motion. So,
Right.
yeah, do you remember that? So we need to put right there, probably where the computer connection was bad, that in this time, there was a motion made, and it was seconded, and then we discussed, and the discussion's here, but then we couldn't proceed with the vote because we had to cancel the meeting, which is also noted in that section there on page 4.
Okay.
I'm rereading it right now.
It's on top of page 4.
There's a couple of things that I would like to have changed in that paragraph as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to have it change the after that sentence that Director Brooke just commented on about her connection being poor. It was stated that Director Campos has a conflict of interest, and I'd rather that to read that that Director Brooke made the accusation of a conflict of interest.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a stated fact. She's making an accusation. Nothing has been proven. So it needs to reflect that it's an accusation.
Or I could say I reported my concerns.
Okay.
I can't say it's fact. I can't say that.
The other thing that I would like to have changed is being a director and attempting to become the CSV general manager. There was never an attempt. So that needs to be stricken.
Well, if anybody cares, on the 3rd line, and also includes console, it should say consult or consultation.
Okay. There any other corrections? Do I have a motion to approve the amended April 15th minutes? I will move that we approve the amended
Just a minute.
April
Gail.
15th minutes. Is there a second?
Okay, I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Let me
Minutes
just,
from the,
let me just say real quick, my internet's unstable, so if I leave, I'm not doing it on purpose.
okay.
Lori, do you have the phone number to
Can
call in
you-
instead? If your
Yeah.
connection goes dead? Okay.
All right, minutes of the special board meeting of April 23rd. We didn't have a board meeting on the 23rd.
No, we didn't. We canceled it.
Yeah, so that's a moot point.
No, we do have minutes because it stated that, October stated that the meeting could not be held due to the special board meeting of April 23, 2020 agenda not being posted to the website for the public.
Yeah, Matthew's correct, that we
Yeah,
started it and did a roll call, so there
Okay,
should be minutes for that much of it. And Johnny was the one that brought that up, so we should have all that in minutes. So I'll have to check
Okay.
into that.
so do we have,
If you look at the top of page 2, it says agenda for special meeting. Then it says Director Talbot that the meeting could not be held. This special
Okay.
board, so it's posted there. Anything else after that is
All
no,
right.
is nothing else. So
Correct.
it's there.
I'm looking.
okay, so do I have a motion to approve the April 23rd minutes?
So
Yeah,
moved.
I saw them, yeah. Oh, Matthew, did you? I'll second then.
Did you move, Johnny?
I did.
Who made
I
the,
think Matthew
oh,
did.
okay. Matthew, and is there a second?
Christina,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, cash checks, disbursements, and credit card purchases for March is $78,956.32. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the
Okay.
cash disbursements?
What was the, yeah, I have a question.
Okay,
What was the credit card payment of $14,904.29? What was purchased on the credit card? Is that an accumulation of charges or?
just a minute.
Gary?
We had 2 grants that we were buying stuff for. And one of them was, let me see, hang on.
this is for March.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
okay.
sorry. So I was
I
looking at,
think that was a movement of restricted funds to cover the stuff for the grant item, and then it'll be paid back in when we get the reimbursement check from OTS.
On the credit card?
Yeah, we can buy stuff on the credit card either way because we have to buy it in advance and then reimburse it after we get it all.
okay.
There any other questions about the March cash and check disbursements? Do I have a motion to approve
Move.
the, Johnny,
So
is there a
moved.
second?
Second.
Okay. Lori is the second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, any nays, any abstentions? Okay, cash disbursements for April, $84,343.91. There any questions about that one?
Actually, that was the one that I had the question on, and it's been asked and answered.
Oh, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the April cash disbursements and checks?
So moved.
Second.
Lori, second, Johnny. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Now, we've already done the conflict of interest. We moved that up. The Chuck Osborne Volunteer of the Year Award.
The heck is that?
Since we got a lot of recommendations, but the person that we got the most recommendations was for Buddy Sogner, and I'd like to read some of the things that people have said. For his work building up the Morongo Valley Sports League and his continuous work on the fields. Youth softball, Easter egg hunts, Halloween, the softball field, adult softball. Morongo Valley Youth Softball President. Always goes above and beyond with not only the maintenance of the softball fields, but also for the youth of Morongo Valley. His work with the Morongo Valley Sports League. He has provided countless services to the children and adults of the Morongo Valley community through his Morongo Valley Sports League. He provides so much for the community to have softball games for the kids in the summer because we're a small town and he plans everything ahead of time. He maintains the field twice a week. He buys food, snacks, and drinks for the snack bar for the people and the kids who show up for the softball games. He's the only person you can rely on, and everyone loves him, even the chief of Morongo Valley Fire Department. That's why I vote for Buddy Sogner. He's done a great job. Too many things to count. He makes the community feel safer. He revitalizes a lot of events for the community, including youth and adult softball. He is one of those essential figures in the community. I cannot imagine a Morongo Valley without him. So on behalf of the people in Morongo Valley and the Community Services District, we are awarding you the Chuck Osborne Volunteer of the Year Award. And,
Excuse me, Madam
we
President.
didn't have a plaque made because,
Excuse me, Madam President.
Yeah.
That is done via vote, not via you saying we're doing it. That is not a personal decision. I do believe that's done by the board, not by you.
Yeah, the nominations
Oh, I
usually
see.
come forth and then we vote.
Yeah, you get.
yeah, you're right. That was a misunderstanding because it says here that he got the most votes from the community. Okay, so
So he was nominated.
here's a,
Do you want to know what the votes were?
No, we want to know who else was nominated.
oh, who else was nominated? I don't know if I
Okay,
have
let
that.
me give you the vote numbers, okay? So
All right,
Buddy
okay.
got 17 votes, Dennis Escobar got 4, and Christina got 1.
So, so can we go ahead and vote on this or not?
Were those votes or nominations?
Those are nominations. Those are nominations. We make the vote.
Okay,
Somebody make a motion.
Those are nominations to us for who we should vote for. Is what those actually are.
So I make a
So-
motion that we do present the Chuck Osborne Volunteer of the Year Award to Buddy Sogner based on the votes that came in from the community. And that is my motion.
I second that motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Congratulations,
opposed? Any
Buddy.
abstentions? Yeah, Jim, do you have that? Are you able to pull up that award paper so he can see it?
There it is.
Excellent. Good
Nice.
job. Thank you, Buddy.
That's a kind of a temporary one. We couldn't get a plaque in time because the guy that makes our plaques is closed right now. So I'll print this out for you in color and give it to you next time I see you. Thank you so much, Buddy. Do you have anything you want to say, buddy? Okay, let's move on. Okay, we got that done. Park closure information. Mr. Yearsley, you want to give us that?
Okay, sorry, I was muted.
That's
so,
okay.
We just have to renew this every 90 days if we want to keep this resolution going. We can continue it or we can cancel it. That's what our option is now for the discussion of the board to make the decision on what they want to do just with this resolution. And it's resolution 2020-01.
Right.
Was to close the park until further notice.
Yes. So now, after the 90 days, we have to renew that every 90 days. So now the board has to make a decision on to continue it, and if so, for how long, or to open it and let the park being used again.
Boy, that's a hard one.
I would
Maybe we
say
should.
right now,
Oh, go ahead.
unfortunately, if you drive by the park, like I drive by the park often because we used to have the process of checking the park. It seems that more people have used it since we've closed it than when it was open. So unfortunately, at this point, I think it's moot to have it closed. Let's go ahead and reopen it because they're already down there anyway.
Yeah, I heard rumors that there were kids down there.
Oh, they are.
Okay.
Kids, adults,
Well,
I think picnics, I mean,
I wonder what our legal responsibility is if somebody were to, let's say, get the virus and they think they got it while they were at a party in the park, if we would be responsible in any way.
Well,
That's a good question.
I would think that if we perhaps listed something stating, please practice appropriate safety measures, health measures, your masking and your social distancing and stuff like that.
Kind of like the no smoking signs.
Yeah, I mean, we still kind of, they're allowing some groups, but they
Yes.
still have to be limited in size. So,
Right.
we can list out some of those kinds of things,
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I was just gonna read what the CDC has out right now.
Okay.
And they barely touch on it, and I'm not gonna read the whole list of what can't be open, but at the bottom, or in the last row of it, it says, open yet, not open yet items. So in the open now, there's no parks or services in that, but at the bottom in the not open yet, on the last line, it says, fitness studios, picnic areas, playgrounds, public pools, and theme parks should not be opened yet, according to the
Well, then
CDC.
Let's
And
not open it then.
And you can go into reopening under San Bernardino County as of May 15th, 2020 is when I pulled this up.
I know the national park, Joshua Tree did say they were going to be open for hiking. There will be no camping, but you could hike and visit in Joshua Tree now for the national park. They did not open the campgrounds, but they didn't open the hiking areas.
Yeah, I think this would specifically come to us though, with the picnic area and playgrounds and
Right.
public areas. And then again, we're still at no one over 10. Masks are not mandatory, but suggested. And then 6 feet of distancing.
Right.
That's all in the report that's out right now. And I get that almost every day, so I could keep everybody up if those things do open, but right now they're still closed.
Well, in my
So,
opinion, we should put this on the agenda for the next meeting. Personally, and this is totally opinion, understand, this is not fact. I think it's not, we shouldn't open it yet. I think we're not ready. I would like to wait and see what the county does.
Okay, so remember, this is a resolution, so the board has to vote on how long that we'll open it for. So we could do it meeting to meeting, or we could do it 2 meetings, whatever you guys decide on.
Are we at the 3-month mark right now?
We're past it.
Okay.
I would like to look at it again each meeting, if that's okay. Do I have to make
All
that?
right, well,
I think the question is, Lori, are you asking to open it and review it every meeting, or keep it closed and review it every meeting?
Keep it closed and review it every meeting.
Okay.
okay. So is that the motion that you're making?
I guess that's a motion. I move that the board reassesses this each meeting, but keeps the park closed for now.
Okay.
But I don't want to
that
get
was
in the way of
Lori.
baseball, so I really think next month we'll have more information. I really feel like we will.
Yeah.
I would like to suggest
Is there a
that,
second to that motion?
I'll
For
second that
discussion
motion.
purposes, yes, I'll second it.
all right, in the discussion, I would like to suggest that we take a look at daily as to what the county suggests. And if they deem it appropriate before next meeting, that we call a special meeting just for that purpose, and allow the community the access to the park.
That's a good idea, and we can let Chief Beersley, just like he said, he's looking at it every day, and he can let us know.
I would be open to a special.
I know they're using it. I know that we have, that there are some issues that are growing down there at the park. And I hate to deny people such a beautiful place. And I think, that we always want to err on the side of caution. We want to make sure that our community is safe, that our people are safe. But as soon as it does become feasible to allow people in there, under restricted circumstances, that we make that available.
So
Okay, well, we are gonna have to meet again fairly soon, like probably next week, to go over the budget. So maybe we could put that on that agenda to see where the county's at that time.
Okay.
So we'll keep. So we're going to keep it closed for right now, and at the next regular or special meeting, we'll look at it again, depending on what the county is doing. How does that sound?
yeah, each meeting, we'll look at it
Okay.
again.
Gary, do we need to vote on this? This is a resolution?
If we're extending this and on, yes, we have to make a vote and make it, we could change. So let's say we do say 30 days, but we have a meeting in 15 and the county's opened it up. You can re-vote and change that anytime.
Okay, we were all agreeing to do something. I just want to know if we had to do it by a motion or not. My
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because it's a resolution, yes.
Thank you.
So the motion should sound something like this. I move that we keep the park closed until the next board meeting where we can redetermine what should be
Okay.
done.
And I will continue
Got
my
it.
sentence.
If I may offer a correction, Lori,
Sure.
we're voting on resolution 2020-01.
Right.
I think that the appropriate way of stating that is that we are reauthorizing resolution 2020-01, reviewable at each subsequent meeting.
Perfect. What he said.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Okay, any objections? Okay. All right, now we're to duty officer compensation and extra duty review. And we're also going to, our attorney has said under this item, we can review the agreement that he sent us, that he has sanctioned as the correct way to do it. And let me see where I have that.
And Gail, we do have a community.
So you all should have gotten a copy of it.
I didn't get it this afternoon. I haven't finished reading it yet.
Oh, here it is, settlement agreement, okay.
And Gail, before we take a vote or anything or make a motion,
Yeah,
or maybe we make a motion and then we discuss it, I just want to let you know, we do have a community question about this item.
okay,
Trying to
well,
figure-
let's start with the community question then.
Okay, the community question comes again from Darren Sandin. It's his question number 1. And by the way, when I re-looked at his questions, the one that we talked about the certifications, I said it was number 4, but it was really number 3. Okay, so this is his question number 1. It says, were the overtime hours that Chief Yearsley is claiming and being compensated for ever approved by the CSD board? So the short answer to that is yes, at the March, let me see what date that is, 18th. Let me flip back to the minutes. The March 18th meetings reflect President Swarat motion to compensate Mr. Yearsley the $82,425 for the duty coverage he had provided, and Director Klimowitz seconded, and then there was a vote, and it was 4-1 with President Swarat aye, Director Book aye, Director Campos aye, Director Klimowitz aye, and then Director Tolbert nay. So it was 4-1. So was it ever approved? Yes, that was approved at the March meeting. That's the short answer to it. I don't know if you really wanted history behind it, but the short answer is yes, it was approved at that meeting 4-1.
Well, I think part of what people brought to me is the question of where did the numbers come from? At one point, I believe you had mentioned $25 an hour, and the question is coming up, where did these numbers come from? When did the board approve these numbers? When did the board even see these numbers?
Okay, so I have the background information on that if you'd like me to give you that.
Yeah,
Do
Yeah,
you
I
want me-
think the public wants to hear it, yeah.
Okay, so you want me to give you
Yes.
the background summary of that? Okay.
yes,
So several months ago, the issue of Chief Yearsley's uncompensated overtime hours was brought to the attention of the president and vice president in a budget meeting with our bookkeeper in town through our ad hoc committee duties. And
yeah,
at that
Bonnie
Bonnie,
Miller.
yes, Bonnie, our bookkeeper. At that time, she was
Yeah.
worried because she knew that Chief Yearsley was working all these hours, and yet he wasn't getting compensated for the hours. And she said that we might get in trouble because we were paying him less than minimum wage for his duties and all these extra hours that he was doing. So she was concerned about that. So then we went back and we looked at a time when Mr. Yearsley did try to hire a couple of gentlemen to provide duty coverage, and these men turned out to be not a good match for the district, to say it politely. They were involved in what the community keeps saying are lawsuits, but they weren't. It was a settlement from the insurance company was recommended. They did not want to go through all the expense of a trial and so forth, so they settled with these gentlemen. But they were two men that were tried out for duty officer, and they were being compensated at that hourly rate in the budget, the 25 an hour. And so the two staffers, they were still on probation at the time, and the board followed all the attorney's advice in terms of how we needed to terminate them. And despite that, we went to mediation and so forth. And despite that, the insurance company insisted on settling with them. It's important to note that Chief Yearsley has never made an independent termination decision without the board approval. he's always brought those matters to our attention, and we always refer them to our legal counsel. And so we followed the advice of the attorneys to the T. But that is what they decided to do. So when people are talking about these lawsuits, that's a really erroneous sort of word, because it's really like a settlement that the insurance company gave them. And at that point, after that, Chief Yearsley tried to go out and continue to recruit people to be duty officer. And he even actually sought people within the department, because we have an MOU with our union that states that we do have to have duty coverage. And I remember that a couple of the gentlemen were very concerned that they didn't feel like they were qualified to be a duty officer. So we were in this position where we did not have duty officer coverage, and Mr. Yearsley took it upon himself to do that. And honestly, he did it for 2.5 years. And I do believe that if there wasn't some of this conflicts that we've been having, that I believe Chief Yearsley would have never actually asked us for this compensation. But he has been, we cannot go into what's happened in closed sessions, but I'm not putting in words in Chief Yearsley's mouth. I'm just saying, from my observation, I believe that he finally got so irritated with the conflicts that were going on that he finally asked for the compensation. And when you do the calculations for the compensation, he was hired to work 40 hours a week, but he ended up doing the 14 hours a day, 4 days a week, and that's calculated at the $25 an hour. And then he did extra duty some days on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And when you add that up, it came out to $249,800. So because President Suarez and I were committee members, we had a meeting with Chief Yearsley, and we said, we cannot afford that. That is just way too much. We can't afford it. And Chief Yearsley was kind enough to discount it 67%, and he's only asking for 33% of those hours to be paid, which actually comes out to $7.45 an hour because of the discount that he's willing to give us. So, and he is willing to continue to do those services through the end of May. And so it's not $25 an hour anymore because he discounted it by 2/3. So it's now calculated at 9,992 hours. And in the settlement agreement, he talks about the hours that were Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And then you take the $249,800 that it would be, and you multiply it by, he only wants 33% at $8 or $7.45 an hour, and that comes out to $82,425. And that is what we voted on giving him as a settlement for his 2.5 years, I'm sorry, of extra duty coverage for us. That originally was a concern of Bonnie Miller, our bookkeeper, tax advisor, because of him doing all that work, and he wasn't being paid more. He wasn't even keeping up with minimum wage. So that's how it all came to be. We voted 4-1 at the March meeting, and now we have the agreement in front of us that has been reviewed by both Gary Yearsley's private attorney and also our attorney, and they have come to an agreement.
Director Brooke, may I make a comment, please?
Sure.
I think a few things to be straightened out. First off, anytime someone goes to court with their attorney and files a lawsuit against you, that is a lawsuit. That is not whatever you made up. Sorry. The settlement was done based on the information that the attorneys went through and found we were liable for those lawsuits. So no, they were lawsuits. They were not just some settlement made up by SDRMA. We were sued in court, and that's why the court documents did appear at our district. So there were actual formal lawsuits.
Yes, and then they were settled. It was settled by the insurance company.
Yeah, you got,
So, we need to make sure if we're gonna make statements to the public, we make truthful statements to the public. This district was sued for wrongful termination and other
I
incidents
need you guys
by
to.
two former employees.
because
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
our insurance company had to go through and do their investigation with their attorney.
I am the one who says Gary needs the money.
So they.
I am.
Okay, let's talk one at a time, guys.
Madam President,
Yes. Who is
uh,
this?
Bonnie raised her hand and wants to address the board.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
Hold on, I get to a quiet spot here. Hold on.
Okay.
I just want to correct that. Gail and Christina came to me regarding the chief's salary. I did not bring the meeting with me several months back at my office. And I probably have an email to that effect, asking information about salaries. I did not bring that to the board.
Correct. It was just in your office that, that Gail and I spoke to you, and you said there could be some concerns about this, that we hadn't been compensating him.
I don't know what,
You didn't bring it to the board. It was only in a committee meeting.
right, and I have no records of what hours he works or how much time he's putting in. So as far as I know, he's working the amount of hours that he's required to work.
Correct. And we had to go do our own investigation. And after you brought it to our attention that it could be a problem, we did our due diligence and investigated how many hours it was and so forth and so on. So yeah, but we appreciate you calling it to our attention. Thank you very much.
But Christina, I really don't think I called it to your attention because I don't have any way of knowing that information.
You said it might be a problem.
The information that you guys brought to me could be a problem, but it's not something that I found a problem and brought to the board.
Right. You just said it might be a problem. So Gail and I did our due diligence because we thought, wait, well, maybe we might have a problem.
So,
And as it turns out, we did have a problem.
Director
What,
Brooke, I've
Matthew?
got a question. So you brought the issue to Ms. Miller first, and then she agreed that, well, yes, if what you are saying is true and correct, it may be a problem. Is that correct?
I don't know, Gail, from your recollection, how did our meeting start with her? I don't remember that
I'm
part. What I
trying to
do
think.
remember is it was might be a problem. So what, Gail?
Yeah, that's about all I remember too. And I don't remember us bringing it to her. I really
Yeah,
don't.
I don't know. All I know is in that meeting, it was brought up that it might be a problem. And so we did due diligence and we found out, yeah, it is a problem. And so
Well,
you did all
you
sorts of
know,
uncompensated hours.
I have
one
another
way or
question.
the.
I have another question. We voted to allow
Johnny.
him, we voted to allow him to have his trailer on district property because he was going to be working 24 hours. That was the reason why we allowed him. We never had a contract with him for any hours. I understand that him and Roxanne may have had a verbal contract, but there was no contract for him to work any hours. The board did say he could move his trailer to district property because he was going to be responding to calls at night. So it was already agreed upon that he was doing this. So I totally disagree that he was underpaid. He was not underpaid. There was no contract. There was no agreement. Our attorney asked us for years to give him a contract, and it never happened.
Right, and that's probably why you went ahead and voted no on the compensation. So we understand that and we respect your no vote. So, but regardless, this was presented in March and presented as a motion, and it passed 4-1. And so now we're at the agreement stage.
Okay. I also have something that I would like to clarify. And that was the comment about bringing the terminations to the board and the board voting on those. I don't recall ever voting on any staff terminations, nor are we permitted to do so. That is not within our jurisdiction. The only person that we've got authority to terminate is the general manager. And
Well,
so
That is correct.
anything
That
like
is correct, but maybe you'll recall the meeting that we had in the kitchen on the stainless steel table.
All that meeting was when he told us that we had got the threat letter. We didn't vote to fire anybody. They had already been terminated.
We can't really talk what went on in closed session. We have to be very careful about this. But we said that we would follow the attorney's advice. And so we did the attorney's advice, and it ended up going through arbitration as well, and all that kind of
That
thing.
did not go through arbitration. You were talking about two different things now. Arbitration was with the union with two different employees. You're talking about the 3 employees that were terminated through the district. You're mixing up two different sections now.
Okay, well, we're getting a little bit off the agenda at this point.
No, we're talking about this duty officer pay. This is
Right,
all
and we already have a vote to pay him this money 4-1, and we are now at the agreement stage. And we understand and we respect your no vote, Johnny, we do. But it's now at the point where we have an agreement to approve or disapprove tonight. And so we have the verbiage right here from the settlement agreement.
But you need to also recognize, Christina, that you have members of the public that voted for us that are requesting answers. And they feel they are not being answered. They feel
Well, we have just answered them to the best of our ability right now.
Johnny, what you're trying to say is that we have used this person. We knew we needed a duty officer because that was in the MOU of the contract that we did with the union, and they insisted that we had a duty officer. What you're trying to say is that Mr. Yearsley came on and he just volunteered or somehow to do that duty coverage, the 14 hours every night for 4 days a week. And plus some of the extra days that he had to spend here. Let me finish, Johnny, let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
That is not fair. And we were paying other people to be duty officers and they didn't work out. And so the money he's getting is actually less than what they would have gotten for the same duty. And if you don't realize the benefit of having him right there at the station so that at night he can and does go out at night in the middle of the night with the guys as partial protection for them and as partial helping them out because they're young guys, I think you're way off base to think that he does not deserve to be paid for that time.
That is not what I said.
Okay, Johnny, you're up.
That is not what I said. What I said is very simple. When he was hired, he came to the board and asked the board, because he put his trailer in the back of the fire department because he was going to be responding to calls at night. So that tells me that he had already agreed to respond to calls at night when he was on duty.
No, I do not believe he said that. Just a minute, Johnny.
I'd like to address that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Johnny, when I got here, you guys had not had duty officers in months because you had let them go. I got here, you had Pete Blakemore in place working 1 to 2 days a week, which was not doing any duty officer work. I was told in the meeting when I was being interviewed and after that we would have to find duty officers and that would be part of my job. So when I got here, I didn't have the option but to run as the duty officer because you hadn't had one in months, and CAL FIRE said they would not do it anymore because they had no contract to do that. So that's why my trailer was there, and why I said I had to have it there is because it was imperative that someone do the duty officer job. And until I could find someone, I was going to be the one to do it. Well, we never could find one, and we kept looking and working and trying people, and it didn't work out. So you're way off base of the fact that anybody talked to me about agreeing to do it on a full-time basis. My interview was 4 10-hour days for the 50,000, 54,000, and that's what the job was. And I was taking on others while I was trying to get them filled, and there was nobody out there that could or would do it for what we had to offer. Plus, we didn't have any money. You guys were losing money every year when I got here. I got people to do jobs free. I got people to come in and do them for stipends, and they didn't work out. So that's why someone had to do it, because nobody has been doing it before I got here. And CAL FIRE and everybody else was tired of us running without a duty officer.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you. We did have duty officers before you got here. And no, we were never running in the negative before you got, well, we were, but 4 or 5 years before you got here. When you were hired, this district was not in the negative and had not been in the negative for a number of years. So I don't know where you got that information from, but that is totally incorrect.
Johnny, you had to borrow money every year. And I'm not going to argue that point. We're not working on that. I'm arguing the point that when I got here, you didn't have a duty officer. You hired me as the chief, and I had to do the job because it was required of the district, and you didn't have anybody, and we had to find somebody, and we couldn't.
We did, but they didn't work out.
You handpicked 3 individuals that didn't work out, I know.
Okay, so we're at the point now where we already agreed by a vote to pay that for that coverage, and now we just have to approve the settlement. And the settlement document was made up by Steve Kennedy, our attorney. So he said that this document will protect the district against any encumbrance in the future for the compensation. So I would like to ask if we can go ahead and have a motion to approve the settlement agreement.
Is that a document we have seen before?
I will make the motion. That
Yeah, it was emailed to you, Lori. Do you have it?
it was sent to you.
From the current week?
It
Today,
was sent just today.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
today because that's when Kennedy could get it done.
All right, I'm looking.
This is a revisement to the one we had before, Lori. We got one like a month or so ago. This is
Okay.
a revisement to that one. We got it today.
Yeah, and this was the one that was negotiated between Mr. Yearsley and Mr. Kennedy, and Mr. Kennedy sent us the final draft that he said will protect the district.
Hey, Gail, you mind putting a light on? We're losing you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, my house doesn't have a whole lot of light.
Oh, I forget
Let me
that.
see what I can do. Let me see what I can do here.
My apologies. I did forget that.
Jim. You sent it out to her. You said it, right?
So,
Okay, so
where
we
is the
Lori,
switch?
so it's not.
Okay.
Lori, that came from Jim Breakbell. Kennedy sent it to him to disperse it to everybody.
And that
So
was,
look under Jim Breakbell's name.
do you know what
Today
date?
at about 4 o'clock, 3
It
o'clock.
was about 5 o'clock today.
Can you tell me what date?
It was about
Today.
5 o'clock today, Lori.
Today? Okay.
Today, about 5 p.m.
All right, hang on.
Now let's see if I have a light.
I can forward it to you if you want, Lori.
No, I'm looking right now.
Is that better, Johnny?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
We lost you for a second there.
Now it's, ooh, I look like
Thank you, I see it.
I'm over a cauldron.
To the scale.
Let's see.
Okay, so. Oh, Lori, is Lori still checking hers out?
No, I found the document. I'm just trying to make my computer work.
Okay.
I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
I apologize, you guys. I didn't, I don't know how I missed that. So many emails coming in all day long.
Yeah, I know.
I just,
I
Yeah,
know.
no,
I missed that one. Okay. I'm looking at it now. Ah.
Don't feel bad, Lori. I barely caught it myself today.
Okay, we have seen this before. And did you say
It's
there
just
were
been,
changes?
it was kind of refined to protect the district.
Yes. Minor
And to
changes
make
from the
it
original.
clearer. Yeah.
And it also extended the agreement that he would continue to do these services through May 31st, the end of the month.
Right.
Okay.
I've looked at it page by page, side by side with the other one, and I see very minimal changes. The big changes that were made would help the district out. because I printed out both of them.
So did somebody make a motion yet? I don't know if they did.
I did.
Okay, I'll second your motion
What was the motion?
to approve
Yeah,
this
we
agreement as soon as you have a chance to read it, though.
Okay.
So you'll be able to vote one way or the other.
Yeah. 7 pages.
So you saw the first one, Lori? And then
Right.
this had the minor adjustments. Is that
And
what you're
this-
saying?
Approved by the lawyer.
His lawyer and our lawyer.
Okay. Yeah, I had read the first one. It's been a couple months, I think, but can somebody just tell me what the changes were? If it was anything?
The red lines mostly had to do with extending it through May 31st was one thing. And instead of writing out the whole entire title of the whole thing over and over again, he just summarized it by calling it dispute. That was one of the things that he just started
Right.
calling it that instead of the big long name of it.
Yeah.
Hey, Christina.
And what
wasn't-
else?
Christina, he shortened it. It was till June. And he shortened it. It was till June 30th, end of the fiscal year, and now it's to May 31st. He actually shortened the time on it.
No.
Okay, so May 31st is the new date. I know the date changed.
Yeah.
And then,
It was June 30th fiscal year. They changed to that.
yeah, and then let's see. Let's see.
Hold on.
I think I may have the red line version of it, but
We have the other copy right here. Give me a second.
it's pretty minimal changes were made.
Yeah, they were very small when I read through it today.
Okay, this has been several months. I remember reading it though.
Yeah.
So are you okay with it, Lori?
Are you ready to take the vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me what the, what's the move again?
The motion. Gail
Motion?
made a motion. Gail, what was your motion?
My motion is to approve the settlement agreement that was brought to us by Steve Kennedy for compensation for Mr. Yearsley.
And I seconded it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
And Lori Christina seconded it.
Okay.
Are we ready to, is there any more discussion?
I'm up to speed now. Thank you. Sorry about that, you guys. Thank you to the community for being
Is
so
there any, is there any more discussion? Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Let's take a roll call vote, Mr. Yearsley.
Gil Swart,
Aye.
Christina Brook,
Aye.
Matthew Campos,
Aye.
Lori Klimowitz,
Aye.
Johnny Tolbert.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Now we go on to the next thing. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. Got that, we got that. Update of board resolution. Oh, where is that resolution? .3. I gotta find that one.
2020-02.
Yeah.
Where did I put that? That's facility rental. Does everybody have that in front of them?
Which one?
2002,
Yeah.
2020-02.
Can you just read it for us, Gary? Is there any way that somebody could read the resolution?
The entire resolution?
Not the whole thing, but you know how we read part of it?
This is like 7 pages. I think 8
We
pages
read
long.
part of it and then we waive it. You know that part, Johnny?
I'm just talking about, you're talking about read the scope of the resolution.
Yeah, you
I
read the
thought it was so
resolution,
organized.
and then you say,
Yeah, you
you
read,
can
you read
waive
the
the
scope, you
remainder.
read the scope, you read the scope of the resolution, then you waive the further reading if there are no comments or questions.
Right.
So maybe
Oh, here
somebody
it is. I got it.
a light. Okay, so there we go, Gail.
Okay, this is 2020-02, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Morongo Valley Community Services District establishing policies for its relations among directors and the staff and with staff. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Morongo Valley Community Service District finds as follows. A, Morongo Valley Community Services District is a community services district organized and operating pursuant to California Government Code Section 61000 at 6. B, the district is governed by an elected board of directors, the board, whose meetings are subject to the requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Code Section 54950, the Brown Act, pursuant to California Government Code 61044. The board adopted ordinance number 2014-01 on November 12, 2014, establishing guidelines for the conduct of its public meetings and activities and imposing requirements upon itself which allows greater access to its meetings than prescribed by the Brown Act. You want me to go on?
You get to the gist of it.
What you might want to get to is, it says on the agenda that we're making a change to section 1.3.2.
Yeah. Let me go to that. Wait a minute. That 1.3. Yeah. Okay, let me get to that part. 1.3.2, meetings of the board shall be subject to the Brown Act and ordinance number 2014-01, as may be amended from time to time. Robert's Rules of Order shall provide general guidance for the conduct of the board's business except where otherwise provided by law. And here comes the change. By the law, ordinance, or resolution or motion of the district, or otherwise inconsistent with the intent of the board president or committee chair shall preserve order and decorum and will rule on all matters of procedure with the advice of legal counsel. And here's the part that's changed. All other questions from board members about matters of law must be referred to the district's legal counsel for an opinion after a majority vote of the board on the subject presented to the board. District staff will inform legal counsel of the approval with the caveat that any unapproved calls, texts, or emails that have not been approved by the board will not be paid for by the district. And that's the big change.
Now, I'm going to make a comment on this.
Sure.
After speaking to Steve Kenny about this, he cannot, nor will he bill any individual board member. He can only bill the district. As he stated, he only has a contract with the district. If any board member has to call him in regards of legal issues for the district, we have to do it. We cannot say, oh, well, I don't agree with it, so we're not going to do it.
I thought that,
If there is a legal issue that has to be resolved and the board is unwilling to do it, then contact must be made. And if 3 people say, oh, I'm not going to do it, and then we break the law, then we're not even coherent. So
But what the
he can't charge any of us. So if you have to contact the attorney, you have to contact the attorney. And if legal issues were not being skirted or misquoted, people would be contacting the attorney. So
Isn't that the president?
The board's gonna have to, the district will not pay it. You can't say that because the district will have to pay the attorney or the attorney's gonna sue us.
But the intent of the resolution is to bring legal concerns to the board of directors, and then the board of directors would vote on whether we are requiring to go out and get legal counsel, because our legal counsel budget has been way over what we've wanted it to be, because there are board members who independently go out and ask questions of the attorney instead of just simply bringing their concerns to the board. And that's what the resolution's talking about. bring your concern to the board. The board will vote. There's 5 of us here, and we'll vote whether we need to go to the attorney without having all these independent people on the board racking up legal fees that we can't afford.
Many times, though, these issues could not wait for a meeting because many times they are about meetings.
But we
And
can always have a special meeting, Matthew. If we
Especially
have
now that
something
we're
really
doing,
urgent.
there's only one person that can really call a special meeting unless it's a majority of the board.
And I'm sure Gail would call a special meeting if somebody gave her something was so urgent that we needed legal counsel and we needed to vote to go to the attorney, because we've got to stop going out and spending this district's money with what somebody independently thinks that we should be going to an attorney about. It needs to be brought to the board, and therefore this resolution would help us with those runaway costs. Basically, we have runaway costs because our board members going to legal counsel without even trying to first bring it to the board.
yeah, and we're thousands of dollars over budget, over what we budgeted for legal counsel. Thousands of dollars. And I mean, anytime anybody has a little problem, they call the attorney. And it shouldn't work that way. We should be bringing all of our concerns to the board. And if we need a special meeting, I'm sure you know, Matthew, I would call a special meeting at any time for something that needed it. I've never not put something on the agenda that people asked me to put on the agenda. And there's got to be some way we can control the costs for the attorney. And he even gives us a pretty good price, but we're way over what we had in the budget.
Well, I don't.
Madam President,
Yes, Jim?
you have a question from the audience. Do you want to take it
okay.
now?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, members of the board, community that's out there listening. Thank you all for being here. Just a quick comment on this resolution. Understanding legal costs with the district and how much that adds up. The other side of that is, to me, this sounds like a gag order on yourselves. And it's going to prevent anybody with real concerns from being able to go to legal counsel without a majority vote. And that seems like a very dangerous position to be in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
So they can text it to me and I'll bring it to your attention.
Okay, but there aren't any right now?
I'll go look and see.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, I'm muted.
Well,
Well, one thing I do know is the part about the district will not pay it. You're gonna pay it. Unfortunately, you have no legal recourse but to pay it. So that's a waste of words. The attorney has already stated that he cannot bill an individual. The only way he could bill an individual was if that individual were talking to him about personal issues. And he will not talk to any of us on personal issues because he's the district attorney. Every time we've gone to the attorney, we've had to change meetings, or we've had issues such as the conflict of interest that was not brought to the board before going to the attorney. So yes, things go to the attorney because legal issues are brought up that are not being addressed, or if they are being addressed, they're being addressed incorrectly. So to stop that problem, the attorney is called, or the attorney is emailed.
Yeah. Well, now we'll have a procedure where everybody brings their legal concerns to the board as a result of this resolution. And then we say, gee, do we need to go spend the money to do that and get that taken care of? Because there's been some very trivial things that really didn't need to be brought up, and we've spent hundreds of dollars on that, and it was things that, you know, we could have just looked up. But I think do we have enough discussion on this, and may we please make a motion on the resolution?
Well, I'd like to offer something else as well. I noticed that Director of Operations is throughout this position. And if this is, you know, I thought we were needing to get a general manager, that the title would need to be general manager.
What are you
No,
talking about, Matthew?
Lost. What
Okay,
are you talking about?
Never mind.
I think what he's trying to bring up is,
that's something you might want, but that's not what we're doing. That's not, we have never gone, we haven't changed that.
I
We
think
may
what he's
need
trying
to,
bring
but
up,
this
Director
is
Brooks,
currently what
is-
we have, a director of operations who does both the general manager and the fire department, fire chief duty. That is what we have. So
Okay,
if you want
Director
to
What
Brooks,
is
change
it?
what he's talking- what he's
like you
talking
always
about
want to
is very
change it.
simple.
Okay,
There's
okay,
a
everybody,
letter from the
stop.
attorney stating that we do have to go back to the term general manager. He did say we could use the term general manager / fire chief if we wish, but under California law, we have to have a general manager according to our attorney. I
So we
believe
will
that's
have
what
to put that on an agenda
Yeah,
for another time.
what he's
to talk
saying is
about.
in this resolution that is written right now, it should not say operations manager. It should say general manager. Is all he's trying to say.
That is a huge
Hold on a
discussion
second.
that we have to have. That's
hold on a section. Hold on a section. Gary, didn't we talk about this and we said we would put director of operations / GM?
Yes, that's what we're doing on everything now. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we do have a lot of documents that would have to have that changed in it. So,
Okay.
but that's what can be done. Steve Kennedy said that if you're going to do that, you have to put whatever jobs with it, but it's got to be / general manager because that's where the reference comes from.
So can we
Okay, but
please
we're
put
not-
that on a board agenda for May to
Yes.
talk about that
For-
for
for
documents
June.
on an ongoing basis that we
Christine,
might make that change? Can we
The question
please?
is, the agenda we're looking, the question is, the resolution we're looking at right now does not say that. And that was all Matthew is saying, that if we are going to be voting on the resolution, it needs to say that. Whether
So,
you put it on next month's agenda or not. The resolution in front of us right now does not say anything about the general manager. It needs to say that, is all Matthew was saying.
Wait a minute, it does, doesn't it, Jim?
Everything I read says operations.
Well, another thing that Mr. Kennedy said we could do was we could change the resolution as we're working on it, and that would be perfectly legal.
okay, but here's something that I'm concerned about right now. It seems to me that there has been a sidebar conversation between 3 board members. Gail, Johnny, and Matthew seem to know that somehow the attorney has ruled on some kind of thing where we have to have the general manager involved, or, you know, some type of title change. So there are 3 board members, and that is a Brown Act violation, because I have no idea about this discussion, and we have not discussed this, and has not been brought to the board. So there's 3 board
I am
members
not
that know
commenting on any
something
discussion.
that I don't know. Do you know this, Lori?
I am not commenting on any discussion. I'm commenting on an email
Johnny.
from the attorney.
I
I'm not
haven't
talking
made
about
a
any discussion.
comment because I'm lost, and that's
I'm
not
only
good.
commenting on an
Lori,
email
did
from
you-
the attorney.
Were
saying we
you
got
in
to
on
go
this
back to
discussion that
California.
you know that we have to change the title? Do you?
I never heard that before today, but
I
I'm
know.
also having trouble finding the document you're talking about.
So this is irritating to me that 3 board members apparently know something that 2 of us don't know.
What should be irritating to you, Christina, is you haven't read your email. I haven't had a conversation with Matthew or Gail about this. I'm only going over an email sent by the attorney stating that we had to go back to the title general manager. In the email, it said we could use the title general manager / fire chief, and then he quoted the law that we had to follow. I
Okay,
have not had any conversation with Gail
Johnny,
or Matthew about this.
what day was that?
Okay, everybody, let's just calm down, okay? Lori, go
I
ahead.
don't like being accused of having a serial
I
meeting.
want to
and I
know,
haven't had one.
Johnny, let somebody else
I just
speak.
want
Lori.
to know where I can find that document. What email, from whom, and what date?
And we're not allowed to just make decisions off of an email, for gosh sakes. We need to come together as a board and discuss these matters.
Well, I can't really discuss it if I don't have the document.
Right. And I don't think that we're ready to be talking about this. This is a huge, huge, huge thing to me.
So should we table this and put it on the June agenda?
Gil,
President,
Gil,
Yes.
let me bring up a point. It's up to you guys, but if what we're running into is the problem with putting director of operations and general manager, that's what we had decided to do anyway. We could do it on this, but I think what Christina and everybody else is kind of talking about is overall, we have to change a lot of the documents, and that should be done in a meeting that's just about changing all documents over to director of operations / general manager. But we could.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, this is a huge, huge philosophical discussion that I have not got my opportunity to give input. So, and it's kind of one of these things that it keeps on getting, well, it's the conflict that we keep on having about this whole title thing and the job description and all this stuff. So to me, it's a huge job description kind of a discussion. And if we're going to change titles, this is a gigantic philosophical discussion. You guys may all not agree with me, but I would like to have the opportunity to talk about this.
Okay, so let's table this and put it on the agenda for June, and we'll put that on the agenda as how we're going to do the title. Okay.
And then have somebody resend the documents, please.
Yes.
And I'm not getting the documents. Like I'm telling you, the emails are not coming through to me, and I don't know why that is.
Okay, so we need the document from Steve Kennedy.
Right.
Okay. Also, we might want to check in on, make sure everybody has the documents, because last class I took with CSDA, if we all didn't have the same supporting documents, we can't vote on anything. We all have to have the same.
Right. Well,
So if we're not getting it, then that is a problem that we need to make sure that we address.
Thank you,
Yes.
Johnny. I appreciate
We will.
that.
yeah, so there needs to
Months
be
I haven't gotten
checks and
stuff.
balances on that. I couldn't vote on or make a decision on any of this tonight. I can't find and don't have that document.
Madam President,
Yes.
you have
There-
a member of the community that wants to ask a question. Will you entertain
Oh,
it at this?
yes, absolutely.
All right, guest, go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, does that mean, okay.
Yeah.
I've been here since 6 o'clock, guys. I just wanted to give my input on what I've seen so far. As a hopeful,
What happened? You froze. Your iPhone froze you.
what I see is a breakdown in communication that I think all of you feel pretty serious about. First thing I'm going to say is communication is really difficult if you're talking over each other. And that for me is something that I've seen since 6 o'clock. I think the biggest thing, Madam President, you've done a great job in quieting everybody when it gets out of hand. But if everyone talk to each other like you'd like to be talked to, I think it would clear up a lot of it. So just try to keep that in mind and continue the good work. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sticking with us for so long.
Oh, no
We
problem.
appreciate it. We
Could
appreciate it.
Could I ask him to identify himself?
This is Ivan Murray, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Ivan.
Thanks, Ivan.
Hi, Lori.
Thank you, Ivan. Okay, so we're going to table that and put it on next month's agenda, and we're going to put it as the title that we're going to be using. And if we have to change it in all of our stuff, we'll change it. But we'll have it on the agenda to discuss. Okay, next. Oh, the fire suppression assessment.
Gail, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as long as we're going to talk about the title, should we talk about the job description again? Because I think that's really
We do need one.
what this is a big thing about. And I don't think you can have that discussion without having a discussion about the job description. So
I
I'm
agree.
almost thinking that the item needs to be like that, job description, including the title.
I would agree with
Okay,
you on
got
that,
it.
Christina.
Would you agree with me, Johnny? Is that what you just said?
Yes, I said that. Yes, I do agree with you very much so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but
We will
thank
have
you.
that on the, we will have that on the June meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, now I believe we're on the annual resolution for the fire suppression assessment for the upcoming fiscal year. It is recommended that the Board of Directors accept, approve, and sign the resolution. This is the annual resolution to approve the assessment fee and ordering the levy and collection of annual assessments with Morongo Valley Fire Suppression Assessment Service District for fiscal year 2020-2021. In addition, San Bernardino County requires the following billing agreement. The form is called Agreement for Collection of Special Taxes, Fees, and Assessments, fiscal year 2020-2021. San Bernardino County requires the forms to be executed prior to August 9th, 2020. We do this every year. It's not like it's anything special. Is there any discussion about this? Can I have a motion?
I'll motion that we get this resolution written for the fire
Okay,
suppression. It's something we do every year.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we've done, all right. Okay, that's passed, okay. All right. Now we have another resolution,
Another yearly resolution.
2020-04, agreement between Morongo Valley Community Services District and the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, to dispatch services during the fiscal year 2020 to 2023. It's a 2-year or a 3-year contract. It is recommended that the Board of Directors accept, approve, and sign the resolution. This agreement provides dispatch services from CAL FIRE to the Morongo Valley Fire Department through state fiscal year 2020-2023.
Move approval of resolution 2020-04.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Special budget meeting. Okay, everybody get out your calendars. We need to have a budget meeting. This is just the workshop. And then in June, we'll have the one where the public is invited and the way that goes. So this is just going to be for us or anybody in the community can come on board and do this. And it would be really great if we could have it next week. Is there any day that's especially good for anybody or bad?
Monday's terrible.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
no,
next week.
Tuesday's
Monday
bad
then.
too. It would need to be Wednesday or Thursday would be best.
okay. What do you want, Matthew? Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday works better.
Does Wednesday work for you, Christina?
Sorry, the computer's breaking up a little. Are you saying Wednesday, the 27th of May?
Yeah.
That's fine.
What about you, Lori?
That's fine. What time?
6 o'clock. Same. Johnny, how about you?
Good time for me. I can do it.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll schedule it Wednesday, the 27th, and we'll have that posted. We'll post it just like we posted this meeting. We'll have the how people can get on to the site and the whole thing, right, Jim and Gary?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. At 6 o'clock.
Special meeting. Got it.
Okay, and are you, Gary, are you going to send us a preliminary budget by then?
I can do that. Yeah.
So that we could look at it maybe before the meeting, maybe on Tuesday. If you could get it to us by Tuesday,
Yeah.
That would help.
will that work? Will that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, next. Oh, district holidays. This was kind of your baby, Johnny, of wanting them. I don't know if you wanted it changed or.
Okay, what I was looking at is we were going to be closed an awful lot on holidays that nobody was celebrating. I mean, we closed for like 2 days for Cesar Chavez Day. We closed down for Easter Monday, but yet there's no actual pattern on our holidays. We haven't had a set holiday routine basically in the 9 years I've been on this board. I was looking at, what basically are federal holidays and how the board, I believe we should sit down and say, okay, these are the district's paid holidays. On these days, you're off with pay. If you're taking another day beside that, take a vacation day, a PTO, whatever. But these are our holidays. And the ones I went down with are basically in line with the federal government.
And are the ones that are listed on the agenda, are those the ones that you're for?
Yes.
So you're cutting out Veterans Day and Cesar Chavez Day?
Yes.
And
being
is
being
that-
a veteran myself, every job I've had, if I wanted to take Veterans Day off, it has to request vacation.
Well, these
Well,
are the ones that we've had before, so that's why we continued on that. But I mean, the board.
So does
can
this-
decide.
It's
Does
my
this-
position to the board, and the board can vote on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, does this mean that we are eliminating 2 days or we've
Yes.
substituted?
No, this is eliminating 2 days.
Oh,
You're eliminating Veterans Day and Cesar Chavez Day.
okay, so,
Here's some input. I just checked the school's record of holidays, the school district. We do not observe Cesar Chavez, but we do observe Veterans Day. So I'd be willing to eliminate Cesar Chavez Day, but keep Veterans Day.
Yeah, me too. Same thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think we should eliminate Veterans Day.
It was November 11th this past year.
Right.
It's always November 11th.
Yeah.
As
I
a
mean, it was
veteran,
on the
I have-
school calendar. We got off on that day.
As a veteran, I have no problem with it. I'm just saying, I know in jobs I've had in the past, being a veteran, we had to request vacation day. So, I mean, I have no problem
We
celebrating.
think you
Veterans
should
Day.
have a day. Veterans should have a day.
Personally, I don't have a problem with the list that was presented here.
When's Cesar Chavez Day, by the way?
Yeah. When?
It's on March 31st.
Really? Okay.
Well, that's kind of, I've never heard of that being, I don't know.
He's
Okay.
pretty important to this neck of the woods.
Yeah, but there isn't so March 31st?
Yes.
Well, we don't have it on our days that we get off, but I don't know. If Johnny feels like we should make the list a little bit smaller, I'd be willing to take that one off that is lesser known and put Veterans Day on.
Well, like I said, I like the list as it is presented, to be honest with you.
With Cesar Chavez as well?
I mean, I personally, I would eliminate, yes, I'd eliminate Columbus Day.
There is no Columbus Day.
There's no Columbus Day on this.
No.
On the list that I have, you guys must have a different list.
It's on the agenda.
The one that I have here, I have a list. It says 2020 holiday calendar.
Oh, this is on the agenda.
No, it's on the agenda, Matthew.
You have the one that was approved back like 06, Matthew.
Yeah,
What
so
you're
we're
looking
looking
at is
at
something we approved.
item 5.
They approved decades ago.
We're looking at item 5 on the agenda.
Yeah, I see it.
The
Okay.
list Matthew's looking at was approved like decades ago or something like that. That's one reason why I felt we should update it also. Because, yeah, I believe Columbus Day was on there, Cesar Chavez Day. There were a few, and there were a few days that everybody worked with us. And I thought it was kind of strange.
Well, I feel the same way, Christina. I don't want to get rid of Veterans Day. but I don't care about Cesar Chavez Day.
I'm okay if Matthew feels really strongly that it would make a difference for our community to keep Cesar Chavez Day, I'm okay with that too. But Columbus Day could come off. But we don't have that at school. Columbus Day.
Columbus Day isn't on here.
And give our firefighters an extra day. That's fine.
Well, you're actually taking one away from them, because right now they get the 13 and now it'll just be less.
They get 13?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have 12 days, and the only one that's coming off is Columbus Day.
The list on the agenda gives.
What made you decide to make this list the way you made it? Is there a reason we're trying to change it?
I was just looking at the fact that I was finding the CSD office to be closed on days where everybody else was doing business. Columbus Day, they were closed. Cesar Chavez Day, they were closed. And then we were actually being closed for like 2 or 3 days for some of these events. And it's like, we don't have anything in writing that actually say this is what the district is going to do. And I feel at this point it's good that the board will sit down and say, okay, these are the district holidays. Once the board agreed to them, the board would vote it, and that would be it. So, you know, I gave a suggestion. If you guys want to change it, you know, I'm ready to listen to that also.
If we don't have it in writing, Chief Yearsley, where are you getting the 13 days?
It was in the MOU.
That's what we've gotten since 2006. This is the ones they've been running.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it was in
it's
the
not like
MOU.
somebody made them up. This is what the board was running before I got here.
All right.
The CSD was running.
And it was in the MOU, but we haven't done the MOU for this time around, so it's still negotiable in the MOU, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I would
So,
think that the district holidays could be negotiated different than MOU. These holidays basically apply to the district office, the park personnel, things like that. The holidays we put in the MOU with the union contract, so they're a little bit different.
oh, okay.
These holidays I'm suggesting today are for the CSD itself, the office staff, the manager, whereas with the fire department, we negotiate their holidays in their MOU.
Okay, in that case, then I'm going to go for Cesar Chavez and Veterans Day and just take Columbus off. I'm going to go with what Matthew's saying.
Okay, now I'm lost again.
So you don't want to wait until we look at the MOU to see what they're asking for?
Well, these holidays wouldn't apply to the MOU because last time we negotiated MOU, we negotiated holidays in the MOU. We did not negotiate off these.
Okay, so Matthew, what was your suggestion?
Yes, it's my opinion.
They missed you.
Lost you.
We lost you, Matthew.
Yeah. You're frozen, Matt.
He said basically that he wanted Veterans Day and Cesar Chavez Day.
Let me
go. There you are. There you are.
I would rather that we are uniform across both sectors. So whatever we negotiate in the MOU for the fire department is what we also utilize for the CSD staff.
Okay.
It keeps unity across the board.
Right, I agree.
And
yeah.
in essence, there will be no changes.
Not at this time, no.
Okay. All right, so we don't need to vote on anything because we're just going to leave it. Unless somebody wants to make a motion to vote on changing it. No? Okay.
Let's talk about it when the MOU is going to be discussed. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to fire department supply necessities. I think that was you, Johnny. I think you brought that up.
Okay, Mark. It's more of a question than anything else is, why is the fire department writing out a list saying they need toilet paper, saying they need paper towels, saying they need cleaning supplies for the public to bring that down to them? Why are we not supplying that to them as the district? They should not be asking the public to bring them toilet paper or paper towels or laundry detergent.
So where are
And
they
they've been
asking?
doing
Where is
it.
that coming from?
Okay, I believe that Mr. Yearsley has the answer for you.
Okay, so first off, I don't know where they're asking or what list they're putting out. I do know that people drive by there and go in and ask them if they need anything. And if you ask firefighter if he needs anything, he's gonna ask for it. Right now, under supplies, Johnny, you know the financial statement, been signing the checks for the credit cards. Under account number 5297, there is a budget of $2,000 for supplies for the fire department. And because they just keep asking and asking and asking, even me, they've actually gone over their budgeted amount by $1,800 for the year.
Yikes.
So they have spent $3,800 so far in supplies, meaning Tide, stuff for toilet paper, paper towel, stuff to mop the floors, tidy bowl for the toilets. So if they're putting a list out to somebody, I believe that they're probably actually overspending what they, I've asked them hundreds of times where they put everything because they go through stuff faster and it can be bought for them. In 2017, they spent $1,400 and now they're spending $3,800. So it might be something in the budget when we talk to them that we tell them that we give them our budget amount of the 2,000 and tell them to spend it throughout their years, and they can maybe budget it instead of using so much product.
I'm just concerned that the fire department is having to ask people to bring them toilet paper.
Well, see, that's what I said. If somebody's going to stop by and ask them if they want something, of course they're going to say yes. If you're going to offer, they're going to give it. So what we're looking at is they've already overspent, and I've even showed them on paper where they're using more toilet paper than they should have to. They're using like sometimes 5 rolls a day.
No way.
So all I can say is this next year when we do the budget, I'm going to talk to you guys about possibly giving them their budgeted amount and let them budget their own, because there's just stuff, it's just gone. I don't know where it goes. So they're that far over. So that's where things come into effect. If you stop and ask somebody something as a leading question, you're going to get an answer, and it's probably going to be that they need more. So there's a prime example of what happens when you ask. Of course, they're never going to say no because they just have you bring more stuff. So they're very well taken care of. They put a list up on the board. I buy it at least once a week. I get them something. We did have a little problem with toilet paper, but I was going around scavenging that everywhere to get them enough. So I don't think they go without. I'll put it that way.
But 5 rolls a day?
Sometimes, yeah, they would have to go through the amount that I dropped off. I cut them back from that, but yes, to answer the question, they well overspent their amount of money for supplies.
Yeah.
So they don't go without.
Okay, so it sounds like this item will be going on the agenda when we look at the budget on the 27th.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to go on, and I'm going to give you my recommendation for it.
Okay, any other details we need on this one? Okay, Jim, I think we have finished the regular meeting, and
I'm sorry, Gail, but we haven't.
Oh, okay.
Because there's 2 more questions, actually 3, that were posted on Google Docs.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think we have to do that before we go into closed session.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right, so I want to make sure that we answer, Darren Sandin had 2 more questions that he submitted.
Right.
Okay, so question number 4 for him is this, if everyone can hear. Why was the public not notified of vacant board seats before the CSD board appointed open seats to those whose terms were expired? Okay, so I think I can answer that if you want me to, Gail.
Yes, please.
All right, so what happened was as me for an example, there was a board member who quit, and so I was appointed by the board from 2012 to 2014. Then my term expired, and in 2014, I put in papers. You usually have to put the papers in by July or August to run for a board position that will go on the November ballot. And Gail and I won our seats in 2014, and then we stayed until 2018. Now, I believe it actually might have been Mr. Sandin who couldn't continue his term, and when he left, Lori Klemowitz was appointed. When he needed to go, I think he had work obligations or something that he couldn't keep serving. So, Lori, I believe you took over Darren's seat?
That's correct.
Okay, and then in 2018, all three of us women, our terms expired. They were supposed to expire. None of us filed papers except for Gail. Gail filed papers, but because there was nobody running against her, what happened was that the Board of Supervisors, all of a sudden, to our surprise, because we really didn't want to continue service, I had already served 6 years.
Yeah.
The Board of Supervisors appointed us.
That's exactly.
Here we are from 2018 to 2022 is our board appointment by the Board of Supervisors, simply because nobody in the community stepped up to the plate to want to run for it. Now, we do have 2 open seats that will come up in November, and that because we're on rotating shifts. So Johnny and Matthew's positions will be voted on in November if there's anybody that wants to run for them. And you have to put your paperwork into the San Bernardino County Board of Registrars. Registrar of Voters. And it's usually by July or August. And then and Johnny and Matthew would need to put their paperwork in too if they wanted to run for their seats again. But if, for example, nobody runs for them, then they could be back in the same situation that we were in, and all of a sudden we were appointed by the Board of Supervisors to have to serve again.
Christina, can I help y'all a little bit with that, Christina?
Pardon me? Yeah.
Can I help y'all a little bit with that? The way that went down is when you talk to the county board supervisors, names were submitted by the district. They were turned in by the district manager for you and Lori to be back on the board. For the county board supervisors does not just randomly appoint. They appoint names that are submitted.
Okay.
If nobody puts their name for the ballot, the county board supervisor will contact the district office and say, we need 2 names, or we need 3 names, many names they need. And your name and Lori's name was turned in by the district to the register of voters. Register of voters move back and research, see if you're eligible for the seats, and turn those names into the county board supervisors.
Okay, yeah, because all of a sudden we were appointed. I really didn't want to continue serving. I'd already done 6 years, but there I was. So,
because your name was turned in by the office.
Yeah, so now we're going through 2022, and then, so it's 3 and 2 people that rotate off at different times. So
seriously, the public needs to get out there and realize that this is a job that people can apply for. I'm not even sure they knew that it was up.
Well, we did mention it at meetings and so forth and so on. Now that we have a website, maybe it'll be better. And right now people are listening in, so please, if you want to run, we don't get any compensation for all this fun stuff that we do. Nothing, no money, 0. So by all means, if you want to serve, we can do that. You can do that. Run for it. The other question, I hope I answered that. Question number 2 from Mr. Sandin was, why have requests for information, including the CSD bylaws and financial statements, gone unanswered? So I would have to give that over to our general manager because I don't know when this request was made. I believe it says that we have 10 days to respond to a request, but I'm not positive if I'm right about that. And apparently we do have a fee for Xeroxing. There's there's a fee for that that's written down in our policies. So I don't know if there was a specific request that went in and when it went in. So I'd have to turn that over to Chief Yearsley.
Working?
Was there, Chief Yearsley, to your recollection, is there somebody that is, I don't know if Mr. Sandin wants the CSD bylaws and financial statements, or if there's a whole bunch of requests coming in and we're not providing that information, because I believe we have 10 days to provide it.
Okay, we had a letter come in 4 days ago, and we got them together then, and we had one other request that we did send them out, come through someone else, but we have a company up in Yucca that's asked for one. That's the only two I know of.
Okay, so now the public knows that it does take a little bit of time to get out, but you respond to the requests and get them out. Is it 10 days? Am I right about that?
Yes, 10 days.
The 10 days is to notify the individual the request has been received.
Yes.
You have to notify the individual the request has been received within 10 days of them asking. You do have, as they put it in the law, a reasonable amount of time depending on your job. So no, you don't have to get them their answer in 10 days. You have to notify them within 10 days that you have received it and you are working on it, is the way the law is written. That way, because some things take longer than 10 days to get, it's been archived.
And I'm guessing if a person didn't get their response, they can send the request again.
Yes.
Well, we only have one, and we haven't got to the 10 days, so they'll get their response back. So that's the only one I've got on bylaws. I will check with Brittany again in the morning to see if any new ones have come in, but that's the only one that I've seen so far. And they should be getting the stuff together and to them pretty soon.
Okay. Then the only other public comment, although I will go back on Google Docs and see if there's anybody else, but the last one we have is from Don Kraus, who's also a resident of Morongo Valley. And his comments address agenda items and non-agenda items. It's rather lengthy, but we promised the public that we would read it, but do you want me to do that?
Well, I was wondering, is Don still online? Is he still with us listening? Can you tell Jim?
If he is, he's not listed by his name.
Okay, so it is rather a lengthy comment that he had. So I'm gonna ask that we put this on the agenda for our budget meeting, because we've been going 3.5 hours and we still have the closed session to do. So since he's still, if he's not there and doesn't have an objection, I'd like to put it on to the meeting, the special meeting, because it still is a public
27th?
comment. Yeah.
Okay, let me check the computer and make sure there's no other comments from the public. Just a second.
Okay. Okay. My earbuds ran out of juice, so I have to put in my other hearing device.
Is that why Bill was talking to you? That we could hear Bill?
Yeah, he was wondering why am I using this thing? Because I got ear pods from my son, but I guess they only last.
There are no other public comments that came in on the Google Doc.
Okay.
Google form. So we're gonna save Mr. Krause's for the May 27th meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll put it in here.
And so now, Jim, we have to go into closed session. And if you would take us into closed session and let us know when we're there, we can discuss the MOU.
All right, bear with me 1 second.
Sure. Take your time. Me too, Johnny. Okay, I'm unmuted. The other guys have to be unmuted.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Lori's good. Where's Christina?
I'm here,
Okay,
Where?
all right.
off to the edge somewhere.
Okay, the report out of closed session is that we're going to be looking over the documentation of the MOU, and we will have a further review in upcoming meetings. At this point, I would like to have our individual directors' reports. Vice President Brooke, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, Director Klimowitz.
No, I just wanted to thank all the participants. We're down to 11 now. We started at 30. But thank you to the people in the community being patient with us in this new venue and with the number of items that we had to cover tonight. Thank you.
Director Tolbert.
As always, I said thank you to the men and women of Morongo Valley Fire Department. The work they're doing with the pay they receive is great. There's no way we could thank them enough.
Can you see my face?
And also, I have been hearing a rumor I'd like questions on. There's a rumor going around the district right now that the Director of Operations plans to retire on June 1st. Would you care to comment on that, please, sir?
No, I haven't announced anything at this point.
Okay, that's just a rumor going around, so we need to either quash that. Either it is or it isn't.
Go see it, Nick.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry. I'd never do that. I'll give you guys good notice, but no, I'm not retiring at June 1st.
Thank you.
Hush.
Director Campos.
Yeah, I want to express gratitude to the hardworking men and women of the CSD Fire Department. And I want to they all stay safe, stay healthy. I want to offer my thoughts and prayers to the members of the community that are suffering from the COVID-19. I understand that we do have several here in the community.
Go your foot, baby.
And the other members of our community that are suffering from some health issues, whether they be mental or physical, emotional. I also want to express some condolences to the owners of American Gas. I know that they had a break-in and smash and grab, and a lot of our businesses in the Morongo Valley over the last several months have been experiencing break-ins and things like that. That's why the fruit market, Conrad, no longer sells scratchers because they busted through his dairy and they stole all of his scratchers and things like that. So he doesn't even.
Oh man,
that's horrible.
That happened several months ago. Let's see here. You know, we do have a very beautiful valley. Morongo Valley is a beautiful place to live, and it's worth preserving. So we are really fortunate to be self-sufficient and having our own fire department. We've got some exceptionally talented men and women in our department with innovative ideas on how to help finance our department. And I think, you know, we need to take advantage of all that we have available to us in the talent in this community. We've got a lot of talented, exceptional people here. I enjoyed the years of working on this board, except for the last several months, I have to admit, have been rather tenuous and not very comfortable. And it's very bothersome to me, and I do find it disheartening that like I said earlier, you know, the pleas for let's work together are put out there, and yet, you know, I have to face the things that I've had the last several months, which have been emotionally tough, to say the least. And I think extremely uncalled for and unfair. I don't think that they really helped in bringing our community together. I think it was something that definitely has helped spur
Jasper.
in the community. But that being said, I still will work diligently for this district. I was elected by the community, and I was elected with a very large margin. I feel that my heart and my passions have always been to make sure that I do whatever I feel is the right thing to support our staff, our firefighters, our chiefs, and everybody involved, and making sure that they are safe and taken care of, and making sure that our community is safe and taken care of. Like I said, it's a beautiful place to live. I am a transplant here. I've only been here 17 years, but I've been here 17 years. And I've been in this house that entire time. I love it here. And I will do everything that I can to fight for it and to make sure that it stays safe and beautiful.
Thank you, Matthew. I would like to thank Mr. Brakebill and Mr. Yearsley for getting this meeting going so that we could all participate and not have disruptions. I think it worked very well. I think all the board members have done an excellent job tonight in keeping us on track and doing the things that we had to do tonight. It was a long meeting and everybody stuck with it. And I'm just very happy with the board. I appreciate everybody's input and I appreciate how we conducted this meeting. And I think it means that our meetings in the future will work very well. So thank you, everyone. And we will see you hopefully. Our next regular meeting is June 17th at 6 o'clock, but our special meeting is on Wednesday, the 27th, which is next week. And that's going to be a budget meeting. And there might be one more thing on the agenda, but it's mostly the budget meeting. And everyone is welcome to participate, and we'll send out the links for people to get on board with us. So thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We appreciated everything. And I would like to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
good night,
thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Hugs.
Yes,
Hugs.
right, hugs, kisses.
So long.